Chapter 14:27, Gigantic Ice Snakes. Chapter 14:27, Gigantic Ice Snakes, the Tower Question of God, was the service organization of the gods. Provide fresh blood for ancient holy battlefield. Once the disciple they offered receives an outstanding battle achievement or merit point, then the disciple may also receive a divine spark as a reward for reaching the divine ascendant level. Similarly, they can also get more of God's reward. After 10,000 years, Zhan Wushuang was the one who had the best talent in the Chaos realm and was most likely to create merits in the ancient holy battlefield. To Tower Question of God, he was a treasure. More than half of the elders of the Tower Question of God had their eyes on him. Adding his illustrious identity, 9 secret warrior family was a dragon amongst men. Train him with all your might. All he needed to do was say it out loud, and someone would take care of it. Just like this time, the ice and snow plane exit. Destroy the secret world's exit in front of the Yisung. Moreover, Yisung was beaten half to death. Without giving any reason at all, not even 100 people could be compared to Zhan Wushuang alone. Inside the Tower Question of God, Wang Shishir was being suppressed, and he did not even have the qualifications to speak. Since the third elder had been suppressed, he had no real power now. Yisung had already become crippled and deprived of the position of examination elder, becoming a cripple. Moreover, it was as if all of this had never happened. No explanation was given. Just with a single sentence, he had to give way to Zhan Wushuang. It was just this overbearing and barbaric. This was the method. He made all the people who were optimistic about Long Fei give up at once. He had to say it. Zhan Wushuang was very smart. He knew how to make use of his advantage and strength, or he would never make a move and would destroy the world the moment he made a move. He would never give you another chance to recover. At the same time, Beast City, the gathering of the Hell's army, had encircled the Beast City so tightly that not even a drop of water could leak out. In the ice and snow plain, Long Fei, Nangong Yen, and Yi Jingyun were walking together and did not follow another group of people. Young Master Long, I can't see the end of it at all. Where's the ice and amp, Snow City? Yi Jingyun said slightly. There was no stopping the heavy snow at all. The entire land was covered in a vast expanse of whiteness. There was no end to be seen, and no presence could be felt. It was like a forgotten world. Long Fei was also wondering in his heart, is there really ice and amp, Snow City here? The system will not make any errors. The ice and amp, Snow City must be on this ice and snow plain. Nangong Yen said slightly, Long Fei, if the snow doesn't stop falling, even a city built on top of a tall mountain would be covered by the snow. Yi Jingyun was startled for a moment and said, That's right, could it be frozen under the layer of snow? Long Fei shook his head and said, Let's talk after the ice and lightning return. The ice thunderbird was not afraid of the cold. He was sent out by Long Fei to search for the ice and amp, Snow City, and if it could not find them, then the 3 of them were even worse. Ice and amp, Snow City? I know about the Ice Snow Festival, this ice and amp, Snow City? Long Fei muttered in his heart. The Goddess Tear's mission was SSS class super difficult. It was impossible to complete it so easily. Long Fei knew this too. He could only wait for the ice thunder to return. Also, there was still another assassin hiding in ice and snow plain. Long Fei had to be careful. His holy source had been completely used up again. Half an hour later, the ice thunderbird landed and said, No, there isn't any city. Could there be a mistake? I've been flying tens of thousands of kilometers, and I haven't even seen a single one. Not to mention any cities. Long Fei frowned. Yi Jingyun secretly clicked his tongue. We couldn't even find it tens of thousands of kilometers. Damn, if we were to go find him, his body would probably be frozen stiff, right? Nan Gongyen looked at Long Fei and said, "Why do you have to find the ice and amp? Snow City, is there something important?" Long Fei did not answer, but asked, "Is there anything special about it? Or should I say, special about it?" There was no mistake when the system issued a quest. It was just hard to find. The Ice Thunderbird thought for a moment and said, "There's a place that's rather high. I went down to take a look, and I think it's a hill. This is the only special place. There's nothing else." Mountain. Long Fei pondered for a moment, then said, "Bring us there." Long Fei jumped up. Yi Jingyun said, "Yong, Master Long, what's so good about this hill? Let's find a place to avoid the heavy snow. If this goes on, we will freeze to death here." Nan Gongyen jumped up. "Are you going or not?" Yi Jingyun immediately said, "Go." 10 minutes later, the Ice Thunderbird descended and said, "I'm going back to the war pet space." There was a time limit for war beasts. Long Fei did not stop them as the Ice Thunderbird entered Long Fei's space ring. Long Fei looked at the hill and said slightly, "This should be the spine of the mountain." The Sleeping Beauty seemed to have woken up at an unknown time. She giggled and said, "Master, don't you have a long young marrow on you? You just need to activate its power." "Huh." Long Fei was slightly taken aback and said, "Is it useful?" The Sleeping Beauty said with a smile, "You'll know once you give it a try." Long Fei did not hesitate to do as he was told. Holding the long young marrow in his hand, he released a ball of warm air, and a dense chi followed suit. Long young marrow, chaos realm's power of the Earth's sun, an incomparably thick heat. Yi Jingyun was startled and said, "Long young marrow can heat up. Why didn't I think of that? It's too comfortable." Long Fei carefully looked at the long young marrow and could clearly feel the change in the long young marrow, and he also felt something moving underground. "Did you find anything?" Long Fei asked. Yi Jingyun had a satisfied face and said, "What's up?" Nan Gongyen also shook his head. "How strange. Am I the only one who can feel it?" Long Fei muttered as he felt something was approaching them from the ground. This feeling became stronger and stronger. Suddenly, without waiting for Long Fei to react, he shouted, "Boom!" With a loud noise, a snake-like monster rushed out of the layer of snow. Its two crystalline eyes stared fixedly at Long Fei, and both of Long Fei's eyes shook slightly. Nan Gongyen and Yi Jingyun were both stunned. What kind of divine horse is this? It was incomparably huge. He was carrying Xuan Bai's power and aura, just like a divine beast. It was glittering with golden light, a characteristic of a super boss. Long Fei yelled, "Be careful!" The giant snake stared at the long young marrow in Long Fei's hands and rolled its body. Rumble! He crawled under the layer of snow and moved about crazily. The three of them did not have any holy source to support them, so they could only watch on in a daze. The giant ice serpents were frantically spinning under their feet, just like a millstone. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes darkened and shouted, "Crap! Run!" Before they could finish their sentence, the layer of snow beneath their feet suddenly sank and fell into a huge hole in the ice. The moment they fell, the huge snake on the ground opened its bloody mouth and chased after them. "Yong, Master Long, we are finished." Table of contents. Table of contents. It was going down like crazy, and it got bigger and bigger as it went down. After a period of darkness, a ray of Xuan Bai's dazzling light, causing people to be unable to open their eyes. At this moment, a series of arrows were shot out. So. All of them carried Xuan Bai's halos of light. The power of the arrow was very ferocious. Yi Jingyun shouted loudly, "Young Master Long, be careful!" Long Fei looked at the direction that the arrows were flying in and was not aiming at them. Nangong Yen suddenly said, "The holy source in the pubes has recovered." Nangong Yen swiftly moved, instantly blocking in front of Long Fei. Like a super female bodyguard, he suddenly formed a thick barrier with his hands. Yi Jingyun! Yi Jingyun also instantly felt that the holy source in his body had recovered. He grinned and said, "Understood." He dashed forward and grabbed the arrows that were shooting at him. Then he shouted, "Here you go." With a sudden movement, all of the arrows were flung away by Yi Jingyun. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk, dozens of arrows flew back the way they came. Long Fei's heart tensed up. He had no time to stop them. A few cries of pain came from below, and a deep voice sounded out, "These people really don't know what's good for them. Just kill them. Use ice cannon." "Commander, we only have 10 ice and snow cannons, and any one of them is incomparably precious. If we were to use them now..." "My word is order. Use ice and snow cannon." On top of a huge ice city stood thousands of guards, following the command given by the commander. A huge ice cannon was pulled out and fiercely fired in Long Fei's direction. Rumble! A loud sound shook the air as if it were shattering the void. Yi Jingyun's face turned cold. "Oh no, big guy is coming." Nangong Yen said, "You protect Long Fei, I will go block." Without waiting for her to finish speaking, Long Fei pulled Nangong Yen and said, "They aren't here to deal with us. They're here to help us." Long Fei had just finished speaking. The ice giant snake behind them was blown to smithereens. The entire layer of ice trembled, causing countless pieces of ice to fall. The ice giant snake was exceptionally fierce. Nangong Yen and Yi Jingyun simply could not handle it. If not for this cannon, they would definitely die here. Boom! Nangong Yen supported Long Fei with one hand, watching the guards on top of the ice city using their arrows to truly lock onto them. Yi Jingyun immediately laughed. "Everyone, it was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Everyone, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous." The leader on top of the wall said lightly, "Put away all the ice bows." Then, the leader looked at Long Fei, who was in the sky, and said, "Our city lord invites you." "City lord has an invitation?" Yi Jingyun looked at Long Fei and said, "Young Master Long, you know the city lord here?" "No wonder you were looking for the ice and amp, Snow City. It turns out you have a friend here." "Ha ha ha. I was scared half to death." Yi Jingyun heaved a sigh of relief. Nangong Yen also looked at Long Fei. Long Fei shook his head and said, "This is my first time here." The three of them entered the ice and amp, Snow City. Under the guidance of a few guards, they walked to the tallest building, the palace. Along the way, they saw many people, all of them very special, as if they had seen Long Fei before. They were all smiling with respect in their eyes. Why is that? Long Fei himself did not understand. Entering the giant palace, there stood 2 rows of elders. One was a fully armored general, while the other was a manservant of Hua Li Wencheng. The one on the ice and snow throne was extremely beautiful, with a sexy body and very little on her body, just that. Her eyes were ice cold and filled with the aura of a high and mighty king. It made people not dare to have any profane thoughts. Seeing Long Fei entering the palace, the ice and amp, Snow Queen immediately stood up and said, "Welcome back, my king." "What's going on?" Long Fei was immediately stunned. Yi Jingyun also looked at Long Fei with a stupefied face and said with a low voice, "Young Master Long, is she your woman? Damn, aren't you being a little too blissful? This woman is too beautiful." Nangong Yen looked at Long Fei with a bit of jealousy and said, "I didn't expect you to be so popular in the Chaos Realm. There are really so many women. Humph, I'll take care of you tonight." Long Fei was stupefied. He shook his head and said, I don't know her from the start. However, the figure of this ice and amp, Snow Queen, the unconquerable and lofty expression, made the dragon have a strong desire to conquer them. And if such a woman was not the queen, she would be able to attract any man. Long Fei was a man, a very normal man, a man with a strong physical need. Since she calls you king, isn't it obvious that she's my woman? How could he let such a woman go? It was more or less the same for idiots. Furthermore, the ice and amp, Snow Queen, and H in front of him looked a little similar. Long Fei did not refuse and directly said, "I'm back." But in his heart, he thought of another way to put it. Come back. Come back here, and I don't even know where the hell this is. Ice and amp, Snow Queen was excited. The One Chun and the generals in the hall were excited as well. Long Fei had excited them and allowed them to see a glimmer of hope. Look at how excited they are. It really is as if they are the kings that have returned. Young Master Long, aren't you being too awesome? Yi Jingyun was extremely envious. The ice maids on both sides of the palace were all extremely beautiful and charming. This was the sound of a person dying. Nangongyan muttered, "You even say you don't know him?" Ice and amp, Snow Queen's face was equally excited as he said, "King, we have waited until you return. In that case, the demons from the west will have no more place to stand." "Wait," Long Fei immediately called out. "What did you say?" "The demons from the west can't stand up for us." "You're not asking me to go out on a mission, are you?" The situation was not right. Long Fei immediately told them to stop. He didn't come here for the battle, but to clarify the matter of the goddess tier. If possible, he had killed the ice and amp, Snow Queen on the way. This was what he wanted to do. As for going out to battle, he didn't even think about it. The survival test was limited to 3 days, and he would have to leave this place once the time was up. At this time, Long Fei did not know that the ice and snow plains exit had been sealed, and they could not get out. The ice and amp, Snow Queen said, "Your return is to set off for war. This is something that you should do as a king. Have you forgotten about it?" Everyone looked at Long Fei, felt that if Long Fei didn't agree, they would pounce on him and tear him apart. About that, Long Fei said, "I just returned. My journey has been taxing. Can I rest for the night before leaving?" At night, he would first take advantage of the fact that it was a bit cheap before doing anything else, using one night to understand the situation of the goddess tier. However, Ice and Amp, Snow Queen did not give Long Fei any chance and directly said, "No, you must go at once." Chapter 1429, Special Systems, Ice and Snow Parade. Chapter 1429, Special Systems, Ice and Snow Parade. He was resolute and decisive. There was no room for a comeback. He was simply insane. Did he have such a wife? She had just come back and didn't have the time to rest before she asked him to set off. After so many years, wasn't she lonely? Wasn't she empty? Wasn't she cold? Or did she have another man? Long Fei replied, "Can't you give me some time to rest? At least let me take a nap or something?" Ice and Amp, Snow Queen said, "The citizens of Ice and Amp, Snow City are still waiting for you to beg, for you to save the souls of the dead. Do you really want to make them suffer? So noble?" Long Fei felt a little embarrassed just talking about it. Yi Jingyun said, "Young Master Long, you are a king. How can you let a woman control you? I have to show off my dominance as a man, at least until I sleep for the night." Yi Jingyun laughed sinisterly. "That's right. I'm the king here. Who am I afraid of?" When he thought about this, Long Fei spoke with determination. "I am well aware of the hardships of the citizens in the city, but I have my own strategy. I will definitely exterminate the Western devils, but I need to make a good battle plan. Therefore, I decided to not set off until the day after tomorrow." Ice and Amp, Snow Queen was startled and said, "No." Long Fei said directly, "Even if it's not possible, I still have to. Are you a king, or am I a king? Since you call me king, then my words are in order. Who would dare to defy the king's order? If you have the guts, then stand up for me." Nangong Yen warned in a low voice, "Don't be too cocky. Your holy source has not recovered yet." His words had awoken the person in his dreams. Nangong Yen and Yi Jingyun's holy source had recovered, but Long Fei's had not. His holy source did not come from the pubes, but from the holy source slot. However, if he couldn't continue acting cool, he would have to hang on. Long Fei's gaze was savage, revealing the contempt of a king as he said, Who dares to disobey my orders?" They were all crushed. He did not dare to make any sound. You know, these military generals were all extremely powerful existences and could be considered NPCs within the game. Their cultivation bases were ridiculously high. The strongest belonged to the Ice and Amp, Snow Queen. She was an unparalleled existence. But in terms of intelligence, Long Fei had completely defeated them. Long Fei saw that they were silent. His heart relaxed. And he said, "I finally managed to return with great difficulty. If I did not rest, how would I fight? Do you want me to die at the hands of those demons?" "King, we have never." "Ice and Amp," Snow Queen said anxiously. Long Fei did not wait for her to finish, and directly said, "Don't be so long-winded. Are you hoping that I'll die outside? Do you know how powerful those demons are? Do you like being a widow?" "Ice and Amp." Snow Queen could not think straight. He looked at Long Fei anxiously. Long Fei didn't even give her the chance to speak, and directly asked, "What are you still doing here?" "Disperse. Prepare the battle strategy for tomorrow morning. You, go and get me some bath water." Long Fei said as he stared at Ice and Amp. Snow Queen, he did not give him any face at all. What he wanted was to be domineering, mighty and mighty. However, Ice and Amp, Snow Queen did not move, nor did the civil and military officials in the hall. "You don't listen to orders, right?" Long Fei shouted loudly. At this moment, the commander who brought Long Fei into the palace spoke to the queen. The queen's face suddenly changed, and her gaze instantly went cold. She stared at Long Fei and asked, "Are you really the king of our Ice and Amp, Snow City?" His aura changed. Instantly, the temperature of the entire hall dropped. Yi Jingyun immediately took a few steps closer to Long Fei and said softly, "Young Master Long, are you playing hip-hop?" Nangong Yen also became cautious. Long Fei pretended to be calm. "You dare to doubt me?" The queen looked at Long Fei and said, "You can't even deal with a giant ice plane snake, and you still dare to say that you are the king of the Ice and Amp, Snow City?" Long Fei shouted, "What can't be dealt with? Have I made my move?" The leader gently shook his head. Long Fei's voice rose as he said, "I don't even care about helping. This kind of low-level magical beast doesn't have the qualifications to die by my hands. How dare you doubt me?" Ice and Amp, Snow Queen couldn't see through Long Fei, but she firmly said, "Either you prove yourself today, or you go out and fight against the Western Devils." Prove yourself? How to prove it? There was no way to prove it. As for why she said he was king, Long Fei could not explain it. If he couldn't prove that there was only one ending, he would die. In the situation where there was not even a bit of holy source, Long Fei was simply not a match for these people. Immediately, Long Fei said firmly, "I choose to go out to battle, and I will use my strength to prove it to you, to prove it to everyone in Ice and Amp, Snow City." "Humph!" Long Fei bellowed, with an angry look on his face. He turned around and left the great hall in big strides. Just as Long Fei walked a few steps, Ice and Amp, Snow Queen suddenly said, "Wait!" Long Fei's palms broke out in cold sweat, and his heart sank. Damn! He would kill someone just by playing around. He could feel a strong killing intent from the chilling aura, just now. The demon god in his body clearly sensed it. He wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. He wanted to go up with such a beautiful woman, but the whip was too long to reach. With a move of ice and amp, Snow Queen's right hand, he took out a round ball of ice and snow, and lightly said, "This is the heart of snow. Use it to collect the departed souls of the ice and amp, Snow City warriors." Long Fei exhaled lightly in his heart and thought to himself, "Fuck, I'm so scared." He accepted it with his right hand, and then the system beeped in his head. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Heart of Snow, triggering the super system. What's going on? Super system? Long Fei was a little confused. A burst of cheerful music resounded in his mind, and the system beep also rang again. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering Ice Festival's Big Lottery. System: Ice Festival lottery duration: 7 days. System description: collecting a soul of a ice and amp. Snow City warrior could give a lottery chance. Killing a level 5 demon could also give a lottery chance. At the same time, the prizes from the Ice Snow Festival also flashed one by one in Long Fei's mind. Main City's Cannon, Sesame Fruit, Dishy, Celestial Call Card, the Fire Unicorn Saints, Tathagata Ancestors Protective Divine Art, the Jade Emperor's Power of 180,000 Tribulations, a mysterious gift pack. What is this? What is this? A divine spark? To think that you actually have a divine spark. Oh my God! It's about to be posted. Long Fei gulped down his saliva, a light shining in his eyes. Right now, he had no interest in ice and amp, Snow Queen at all. Too fierce. Gudong! Long Fei heavily swallowed his saliva, his entire body trembling in excitement. He was extremely excited and shouted loudly, "Let's go!" Chapter 1430, Strength, Lotus Flower. Chapter 1430, Strength, Lotus Flower. He had never been so excited before. The great lottery draw had a divine spark. How fierce was this? A divine spark in the Chaos Realm was simply heaven-defying. If he could draw it, what Nonsense 9 Secret Warrior Family S, what Hellgate S, what Bounty Gate S, what Myriad Alliance Sect, even Tower Question of God S could not be taken seriously. A divine spark was something that came from the ancient holy battlefield, something that not even the divinity had. Possessing it was the same as possessing a divine throne. Huh. Yong, Master Long, aren't we going to represent the ice and amp? Snow City? But why is it just the three of us? Yi Jingyun looked at the emptiness behind him. There was not a single person. What kind of battle was this? This was clearly exile. Nan Gongyan also said, "You want us to fight against a group of Western demons with just the three of us?" The walls were full of people, all waving goodbye to them. It really wasn't an expedition at all. Just as Yi Jingyun had said, they were exiled. Ice and Amp. Snow Queen also stood on the city wall. "My king, I will wait for your complete victory." Long Fei grinned. "Don't worry, I will definitely return victorious and will definitely ride you under my crotch." And then Long Fei said, "3 people is 3 people. We can talk after we defeat the demons in the West. Maybe there will be a special surprise, or maybe there will be a special reward." Young Master Long, if you didn't mention adding points, I had forgotten. We only have 3 days, and now a day has already passed. We only have 2 days left. How are we going to kill all the devils? Yi Jingyun was worried about the results of the assessment. They would be leaving in 3 days. Long Fei also frowned and said, "That means that we should increase our speed even more." Ice Thunder, have you rested well? The Ice Thunderbird was summoned by Long Fei, and the 3 of them flew towards the western blood-colored sky. 3 hours later, Long Fei and the other two landed at the bottom of a blood-colored mountain range. The mountain was filled with a dense, bloody demonic energy, and it was filled with fear. It sent chills down one's spine. Nangong Yen slightly said, "Are we really going in?" Long Fei nodded his head, and Yi Jingyun said, "It's over quickly." With that, he stepped into the mountains. In less than half a second, he ran out with all his might as he shouted, "Run! Run! Come out with this big guy! Too damn strong!" The moment Yi Jingyun ran out of the blood-colored forest, a fully armored demonic bear rushed out. It was extremely savage. Its claws were like blades, cutting through the air. The clothes on Yi Jingyun's back were shredded as he fled in a panic. Long Fei looked at Nangong Yen. Nangong Yen did not hesitate as he stepped forward. Boom! A heavy palm struck down. Logically speaking, with Nangong Yan's strength, even if the demonic bear did not die, it would still be severely injured. Not only was he not dead, he wasn't even injured in the slightest. On the contrary, Nangong Yen was thrown back from the impact. The vital energy and blood under his chest churned, and he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His defense is too strong. Nangong Yen shouted. Not only that, the demon bear was even more crazed. It suddenly stood up. It was at least 5 meters tall, like a giant. Its two eyes stared straight at Nangong Yen, and it suddenly roared at her. Roar! The sound was as though lines of energy clearly visible. His mind was truly about to break. Nangong Yan's bun was shaken to the point that it fell apart, unable to hold on. Yi Jingyun yelled, "Be careful!" Long Fei also frowned. He was a little worried. He was without the slightest bit of holy source value. Every ounce of cultivation technique, holy artifact, could not release any of their power. They could only watch. This feeling was very uncomfortable. Don't look at it. If you are attacked by it, don't get up from the ground. The bear will not attack the dead. Long Fei said softly, and as he said that, he drew closer. Nangong Yen was still his woman. He would never let his woman get hurt. A sound came from Nangong Yan's throat, and he said, "Long Fei, don't come over here. Don't come over." She was not worried about herself, but Long Fei, this demon bear, was extremely powerful, and with her current cultivation, she could not handle it, unless he used the power of evil. But this power was not to be easily used. Long Fei did not listen to Nangong Yan's words. At this moment, Yi Jingyun also shouted loudly, "Grandson with grandfather here, didn't you want to tear grandfather apart? Come on, come on." Dispersing the devilish bear's attention, the demon bear looked at Yi Jingyun, who was not far away. Yi Jingyun's body trembled slightly as he exclaimed in his heart, "Damn." Then, the demon bear suddenly unleashed its power, fiercely rushing towards Nangong Yen. Suddenly, Nangong Yan's reaction was also extremely fast, as he continuously retreated. At this moment, Long Fei also rushed out with a step, the blazing energy around his body crazily released, and released the power of the hellfire lotus that was in his flesh. He took a step forward. Boom! He landed heavily in front of the demonic bear and moved his fists. Boom, boom! Just like a mechanical impact, his fists moved, sank, and heavily smashed out. Fire Lotus Fist. 2 burning flames appeared on his fist. It bloomed like a lotus flower. This was Long Fei's pure strength. His physical strength did not contain the slightest bit of holy source support. Rumble! In the instant that Long Fei struck the body of the demon bear, both of Long Fei's arms were on the verge of breaking. However, the armor on the chest of the demon bear caved in, and 2 fist marks were formed from Long Fei's attack. The demon bear's body slightly trembled, and he quickly took 2 steps back. Roar! He was incomparably furious, and his body erupted with a blood-colored strength stripes. The energy aura around his entire body suddenly changed, and after releasing a furious roar, he heavily rushed over with a kick. Yo, Master Long, be careful. Long Fei. Too arrogant. This demonic bear. Long Fei clenched his teeth, his eyes sinister as he said, "Fuck, come." Boom, boom. The blazing power burst forth once more. Long Fei's body released all the power he could muster. Every cell, every joint, every inch of muscle was releasing a crazy amount of power. At this moment, a lotus seat rose up from under Long Fei's feet. Blazing lotus. Ah. He threw his head back and roared, then took a step forward. The lotus flower beneath his feet rose again, and with every step he took, a lotus flower of fire burst out. Long Fei confronted it head-on, straight on. "I have never been afraid of anyone before. Get down." Long Fei punched out with both of his fists, completely releasing the power of the Hellfire Lotus in his body. Rumble! It directly exploded the head of the demonic bear. At the same time, the system sounded out. Ding! Chapter 1431, Pancake Possession. Chapter 1431, Pancake Possession. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Demon Bear for obtaining 230,000 experience points, 20,000 holy source points, and 1 energy values point. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a monster core. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Devil Bear Blood Vein. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Violent Bear Armor. Several notifications sounded consecutively. These were all things that Long Fei did not want. What Long Fei wanted to do was Ice and Snow Parade Lottery, according to the Heart of Ice, as long as he could kill the magical beast alive and save the soul of a brave warrior. He would get a chance at the lottery. Heart of Snow moved. Indeed, the system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to the player Long Fei for getting a free lottery chance to draw Magic Bear. Do you want to start? Activate. Long Fei suppressed the excitement in his heart, and an interface appeared in his mind. Main City's Cannon Tower, Shaken the Fruits, the mysterious gift pack, Tathagata Lord of Buddha's protective divine technique, Jade Emperor, transformation card, a divine spark, Gudong. Looking at what was above, Long Fei could not control himself and continued to swallow his saliva. Begin. Long Fei moved, holding onto the spinning wheel tightly for support. He thought in his heart, "Master bless me." And then the wheel started to spin, flashing with a rainbow-colored light. A few minutes later, the wheel slowed down and began to move. There were several times where Long Fei's eyeballs were about to pop out of their sockets. Stop, stop, stop. Don't stop, don't stop, stop. Like a lunatic. Finally, the spinning wheel stopped, and the needle stopped at one point. Long Fei stared at the biggest grid in the wheel. His eyes were startled and immediately scolded. "I'll go." Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Sesame Seed. A sesame seed cake floated in Long Fei's mind. Long Fei wanted to die. There were so many good things inside. What was bad about drawing it? Yet, he drew a sesame seed cake. What was the phonetic abbreviation for pancake? SB. Long Fei's eyes became angry and shouted, "System, are you messing with me?" What Ice and Snow Parade lottery draw? You can draw a sesame seed cake. Your entire family is made up of sesame seed cakes. Long Fei was about to go crazy. To be honest, it was really difficult to kill this demonic bear. His hands felt like they were going to fly away. He thought he could find something good to compensate with, but who knew? A sesame seed cake? This wasn't the way people were organized. Nangong, Yen walked over to Long Fei with a depressed look and asked, "What's wrong with you?" Yi Jingyun also asked, "Young Master Long, what's the situation?" "Why do you look so dejected? Ignore me. I want some peace and quiet." Long Fei wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Looking at the large biscuit in his mind, it was as if he had received 100,000 blows on his heart. It was extremely uncomfortable. Yi Jingyun looked at Nangong Yen and asked, "Who is Jingjing? Is this a new woman from Yong Master Long?" "Wow. Yong Master Long is the Ice and Amp Snow Queen's name Jingjing? Aren't you being too awesome? When did you ask for her name?" Yi Jingyun's face was full of emotion. Long Fei looked at Yi Jingyun and wished that he could explode with anger. Huff. Failure is his mother's success. Just make it. I don't believe it. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and immediately recovered his energy and said, "Enter the mountain." Brother doesn't believe that my character is that bad. The fire had started. So many great items. Yet he only managed to get a biscuit. The heck, how unlucky could he be? Yi Jingyun looked at the furious Long Fei and asked softly, "What happened to young Master Long?" He still looked like he wanted to be upset. Did he get dumped by that woman Jingjing? I can't. Young Master Long is so mighty. If I were a woman, I would definitely fall in love with him. Nangong Yen glared at Yi Jingyun fiercely and quickly followed. 20,000 points of Holy Source recovered. This time, Long Fei could use a lot of techniques. As soon as he entered the blood-colored forest, a demonic leopard rushed out. Roar! Roar! After flying out, Long Fei's right hand moved. Destroyer! Shua! The heaven-decimating sword fell into his hand and chopped down at the demonic leopard. Kacha! The flames spread in all directions. The demon leopard was heavily crushed by Long Fei, but it did not die instantly. Without waiting for it to get up from the ground, Long Fei slashed down. Die! Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Demon Leopard for obtaining 210,000 experience, 18,000 Holy Source points, and 1 energy values. Congratulations, player! Long Fei was excited and nervous again. Quick, quick, quick! Start the lottery! And then Long Fei used more strength, and the spinning wheel flew up. He stared at the spinning wheel without moving, and said in his heart, "Bless bounty. At least give me something good. If old master can't do it, then I'll give my blessings to teacher Little Zay." A few minutes later, the wheel stopped spinning. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for getting a sesame seed cake. Great sir! Even Long Fei had the impulse to go berserk. He cursed in rage. This was too unbearable. The heck? System, come out. I promise I won't beat you to death. Is there anyone who would try to cheat me like that? Long Fei looked at the giant pancake in his mind and really wanted to cry, but no tears came out. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. If the system was a human, he would definitely push it into the fecal pit. Which one of you is hungry? Long Fei casually asked. Yi Jingyun was startled for a moment, then said, "Young Master Long, do you have anything to eat?" Long Fei took out the 2 large sesame seed cakes. Yi Jingyun's eyes lit up as he said excitedly, "To be able to eat hot biscuit in such a cold weather, I am truly blessed." He took the sesame seed cake and started biting on it crazily. He had a great time eating it and was still reluctant to finish it in the end. He asked, "Young Master Long, do you still have a sesame seed cake?" Long Fei did not speak, his eyes staring straight at Yi Jingyun. Without saying a word, he glared at Yi Jingyun. 10 minutes later, ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for getting a sesame seed cake. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for getting a sesame seed cake. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for getting a sesame seed cake. The system seemed to have gone crazy. It was always a sesame seed cake, a sesame seed cake, a sesame seed cake, or a sesame seed cake. Every single time, Long Fei held on to hope, but in the end, he was beaten black and blue, and he could not vent his anger at all. Yi Jingyun's mouth was filled with oil as he ate, making his stomach turn round. Had the urge to give him a good beating. Bring it on. Just come and make the pancakes more violent. Long Fei's suffering was unbearable. He was practically being possessed by a pancake. Once again, the system beep rang out. Long Fei no longer held any hope. Chapter 1432. Berserk beginning. Chapter 1432. Berserk beginning. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for getting a sesame seed cake. Long Fei let out a bitter laugh. Revelation of ice and snow, your sister. He crazily cursed. He was played with 100 times. Most people would go crazy if they heard it. Long Fei's blow had penetrated every inch of his body. He looked as if he was about to die. He really couldn't take it anymore, and his entire body was on the verge of collapse. There was clearly something good, but it just couldn't be pulled. How bad was his luck? He really wanted to cut off his hand. However, just as Long Fei was about to lose all hope, the system sounded out once again. Ding! System notification. Player has consecutively drawn 100 sesame seed cakes, receiving a special reward from the system. Huh! Long Fei's eyes darkened. Does the heavens want to open their eyes? Are we really going to open our eyes? The system's rewards would not be bad. He felt that the heavens were about to open his eyes, and seeing him in such pain would definitely make him happy for a while. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Sesame Terminator. An incomparably large sesame seed cake appeared in Long Fei's mind. It was more than 10 times bigger than the one in the past. Long Fei sat on the ground, his mind filled with fear. Right now, he didn't want to do anything at all. He only wanted to be alone and calm, because he was beginning to doubt life. He had nothing to live for. Heaven will close a door for you. Don't worry, be discouraged, because he will also close one of your remaining windows, leaving you in darkness, eternal hope. At this moment, Long Fei was really beaten to the point that he couldn't take care of himself by this scones. He had never seen something like this before. What was this called? He fell into the pit and couldn't get up. Did I scold the system too harshly? Long Fei muttered, and Nan Gong Yen, who were at the side, looked at Long Fei, who was curled up in a corner alone, and did not know what had happened. What do you mean? How could he say that? That he had a lottery system in his body, which allowed him to pull out scones 100 times in a row. If word of this got out, people would definitely laugh themselves to death. Looking at the incomparably huge sesame seed cake in his mind, Long Fei let out a long breath and said, "Take a deep breath, take a deep breath. The world is so beautiful, yet I am so impatient. I haven't tried the taste of the sesame seed cake yet. Taste it." As they spoke, Long Fei took out a huge sesame seed cake and bit onto it. This was the first time Long Fei had eaten a sesame seed cake. He hadn't eaten a single one of the 100 times he had drawn before. He didn't believe that his luck was good, and was busy drawing the lottery to kill the magical beasts, eating it in one gulp. Ding! System notification. Spiritual Academy value plus 10,000 points. Huh. Long Fei was slightly taken aback. He looked at the biscuit in his hand and muttered, "Increase holy source." He took another bite. Ding! System notification. Spiritual Academy value plus 10,000 points. Holy SH asterisk T. As expected, it's an increase in holy source. Long Fei was a little excited. After all, it was not a simple sesame seed cake. The value of the spiritual academy had not increased much after half a day of killing Long Fei. In addition to the consumption of his cultivation technique, his current value of the spiritual academy was only around 50,000 points, which was simply not enough. However, if he were to add up the 1,000,000 spiritual academy points, then Long Fei heavily shouted in his heart and muttered, "Scatter seeds which become solidars. An army of 100,000 will wipe out this mountain. This old one will not believe it. I'll eat. I'll eat. I'll eat." Long Fei ruthlessly ate the super big sesame seed cake and said, "I won't believe it. Swallow the last of the scones into your stomach." The holy source S increased to 1,000,000 points. Moreover, a strange scene occurred. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for using the Sesame Rice Terminator and erasing the sesame rice in the ice and snow parade lottery. On the wheel, the scones disappeared. The 3 scones disappeared. Replacing it was the Airborne Knight, Heaven Fairyland, Hell's Secret World. For these 3 things. Ha ha ha. Long Fei immediately laughed out loud in excitement. "Sesame seed cake, go ahead. I, your father, will definitely eat another half a scone in my life." Cake Terminator. "So that's what you mean?" Long Fei was too excited to the point that he wanted to cry. Without the biscuit, it was as if he had obtained the entire world. The mental shadow of the scones was too much for him. "Young Master Long, are you all right? Long Fei, what's wrong with you?" All of a sudden, he felt depressed and excited. He didn't understand what was going on at all. Nan Gongyan and Yi Jingyun were both dumbstruck. Long Fei stood up and laughed excitedly. "It's fine. I'm going to be rich soon. Just watch." And then Long Fei said, "Now, follow me through the bloody mountain." As soon as he finished, Long Fei's body released his qi and released his own blood essence. The smell of blood pervaded, causing the entire forest to become restless. Yi Jingyun said suddenly, "Young Master Long, you have attracted all the beasts over this time. So what if I'm heartbroken? We don't want you in serenity. Don't we still have us? Young Master Long, you can't be this self-abusing." To be able to release the strength of his blood essence in such a place, that was simply courting death. Long Fei grinned. "Just watch, I'm going up. The heavens." Yi Jingyun was even more shocked. "Sisyen, young Master Long's brain is abnormal. The shock of his heartbreak is too great. You have to persuade him. He even wants to go up to the sky." Nan Gongyan's face was also full of confusion as he said, "Long Fei, calm down. There's nothing that you can't get through." The 2 of them thought that Long Fei had gone crazy. Only a madman would try to attract the attention of a beast. The power of one of these beasts was comparable to an Earth Emperor powerhouse. One would not be scary, but if there were tens of thousands of them, the 3 of them would not be able to resist it. Long Fei did not explain. He ran out crazily and roared, "Come, everyone come! Ha! As many as there are." Long Fei laughed loudly, savage to the extreme. All the beasts in the forest were awakened by Long Fei. They released low roars and crazily chased after Long Fei, the disturbance in the forest becoming more and more intense. The roars never stopped. The entire mountain range became restless. Yi Jingyun's face was pale as he said, "We're finished. We're doomed. We're completely doomed. We're really going to die here this time." Nan Gongyan did not speak and followed Long Fei instead. No matter how crazy Long Fei was, no matter what happened to him, she would accompany him. She had missed a chance. She did not want to miss a second chance. Bring it on. Suddenly, Long Fei stopped. The surroundings were densely packed with beasts. "We're rich. I'm going to post." Chapter 1433. Never felt so good. Chapter 1433. Never felt so good. The mountains and plains were filled with magical beasts. All of their eyes were staring at Long Fei. Yi Jingyun protected Long Fei on the left. Nangong Yen protected the right and protected Long Fei. Long Fei was completely mad. Bring it on! Long Fei roared. Yi Jingyun frowned. Without waiting for him to speak, Long Fei suddenly leaped up with a step and heavily rushed forward. At this moment, the idea moved. Evil spring, come out! The healing spring descended and quietly released its healing power. It was also at this moment. Fire unicorn, out. Sky swallowing rat, out. Yuan Yangbi beast, out. Black flame, come out. Ferocious bosses rushed out of Long Fei's war pet space and Hell's 18th floor one after another. They charged into the group of demon beasts like tigers entering a flock of sheep. However, they were still too few. It was far from enough to allow him to reap the fruits of his madness in an instant. However, the corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted, and 100,000 holy source disappeared. He shouted in a deep voice, "Scatter seeds which become solidars, come out!" The value of the holy source flew in all directions, and the moment each beam of light landed on the ground, buzz, buzz, buzz. Magic weapon appeared out of nowhere on the ground. Shen Gonglei pays his respect to the Lord. The spirit will appear. It was Shen Gongju, powerhouse in the middle of nowhere. Long Fei laughed excitedly. "Eat all of these for me." "Yes, sir." Shen Gongbao bellowed lightly, and the idea moved. Magic weapon, listen up, kill. Kill. 100,000 magic weapon charged into the group of demonic beasts like a mad beast, instantly blocking the demonic beast army. This was simply too domineering. At the same time, no matter how strong the demonic beasts were, they were no match for the magic weapon. However, with the existence of Healing Spring, these magic weapon would not die. Oh my God! An army of 100,000 suddenly appeared. Young Master Long, where did you get all these bosses? Yi Jinyun's face was filled with astonishment. He had thought that he was going to die. However, the situation had suddenly changed. His little heart couldn't adapt to it at all. Nangong, Yen looked at Long Fei and faintly smiled. Long Fei was getting more and more mysterious, and she was getting more and more confused. This was even better, because the evil god would never know Long Fei's full strength. Long Fei giggled and said, "Fierce." Yi Jingyun said, "Fierce, able to make a complete mess of things." Long Fei laughed. "This is just the beginning." Ding, ding, ding. The system's notification sound rang out crazily. Long Fei's experience points S continued to increase. His holy source S continued to increase, and his energy values continued to increase as well. What he cared about now was the ice and snow parade. Start the lottery. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Great Recovery Pill. Do you want to use it? Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Heavenly King's Treasure Sword. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Underworld King's Pagoda. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Sea Heaven Divine Sword. The sound of the lottery draw prompts rang out incessantly. Without the sesame seed cake, the things that Long Fei's luck would have been able to pull out would always be good. He hadn't drawn what he wanted yet. What he wanted was a divine spark. Again. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Arcane Damage Call card. The Arcanum of the Avenger Alliance. Awesome. Continue. I want a divine spark. A divine spark. Long Fei did not stop. 100,000 magic weapon continued to be killed, and the number of times they drew continued to increase. Long Fei was grinning from ear to ear. It feels so good. Continue. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Thunder God Sword. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Thunder God's Wings. Would you like to use it? Ding. He had never felt so good before. Never. Lottery draw. What was a lottery draw for the Ice and Snow Carnival? This was it. Every time they killed a magical beast, they would get a big chance at the lottery. The most useless things were all 9th grade Heaven Stage spiritual treasures, and most of them were holy artifacts. Perfect. With these holy artifacts, their cultivation will definitely rise another level, and might even be one step closer to the teleportation gate of a level 10 guild. Luo Shi, Leopard Girl, Qian, all of you wait here. It won't be long before I bring you all to Chaos Realm. Long Fei was wild with excitement as he continued to draw. This feeling, this amazing rhythm. Ding. Congratulations to the player, Long Fei, for drawing Heavenly Energy Blood Vein and absorbing its energy. Absorb. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently level 28. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for drawing lava. You wish to fuse it? Fuse. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei. The blood vein continued to swallow. Long Fei had completely fused all of the fire attribute energy. The sun god's body needed to absorb all sorts of strong yang energy to stimulate the body, making it stronger. It was improving like crazy. Half an hour later, Long Fei's space ring was full. It was no longer able to hold anything. It was also at this time that all the beasts in the forest were killed. Long Fei's level also broke through from Chun stage level 4 to level 5. He was only 5 levels away from becoming a paragon. Huff. So cool. They feel so good. Long Fei was incomparably satisfied as he sat on the ground with a satisfied expression, looking at the mountain of spirit treasures inside the space ring. Long Fei could not help but become excited, absorb all of the ancient spiritual treasure. Ding, ding, ding. A series of system beep sounds rang out. A few minutes later, ding, the energy has been filled up. The golden cudgel energy has been filled up to the 60th floor. Whew, damn, the 60th level is not full yet. It seems that I really need to fill up the 100th level. Long Fei muttered. Golden cudgel, second transformation. What was its limit? Long Fei still didn't know. Before the 60th level was filled up, there was only one possibility. The 100th level should be its limit, and it would be able to fully unleash the power of the second level. What could it be? Long Fei was really looking forward to it. Following that, Long Fei held out his long, thin, blue sword sheath. The red sword's divine sword was passed to Nangong. Yen, the last time your sword was destroyed by Yi Tiancheng, this sword should be very suitable for you. There's more. Young Master Yi, this is yours. If you follow me and mess around, how can you do it without a proper weapon? The two of them were startled as they received the weapons. He was completely shocked. It was also at this time. A loud sound rang out from the depths of the bloody mountain range. A ray of blood-red light shot up into the sky, and a mix of forces crazily exploded outwards. The demon god of Long Fei's body stirred, both his eyes staring angrily. There's a boss. Chapter 1434. Lousy Want a Divine Spark. Chapter 1434. Lousy Want a Divine Spark. With a loud noise, the demonic god suddenly woke up. No doubt about it. This was a super boss. The corner of Long Fei's mouth twitched, and he said, "This tempo is more like it. It would not be normal if there was no boss after killing so many magical beasts. Moreover, Long Fei's hands were about to cramp from the lottery, but he did not manage to get any heavenly treasures. This might have something to do with the level of the beasts, if it was a boss. A divine spark. Maybe it was a divine spark. Long Fei was immediately overjoyed as he said, "The two of you stay here, I'll be right back." Finished. Long Fei ran out. Ice thunder. Shwa. The ice thunderbird rushed out, and Long Fei stood on it, quickly flying towards the depths of the mountain range. Ice and Amp, Snow City. The western devil flames are getting more and more intense. I wonder if our king can hold on. Ice and Amp, Snow Queen frowned and said worriedly, "Queen, if he is our king, he will definitely be able to block it. Don't worry." A maid spoke up. Ice and Amp. Snow Queen looked to the west and gently exhaled, saying, "I hope he will return victoriously." Suddenly, on her crown, a drop of blue crystal shone with a strange light. Ice and Amp. Snow Queen was slightly shocked as he muttered to himself in a low voice, "Goddess's tears. What does that mean?" The blue crystal on the crown looked exactly the same as Long Fei's goddess tear, almost exactly the same. At this time, it suddenly received a call from a certain power, and a ray of light shone out. It was the first time this had happened to her. Next, Ice and Amp. Snow Queen quickly entered an underground secret room and went through a long flight of stairs. It took him over an hour to reach the place. In the basement, blue light flashed. In the middle of the basement stood a giant staff of angels. The top of the staff was like an eye, and the blue eyes were like a giant blue gem, flickering with blue light. Ice and Amp. Snow Queen knelt on the ground and chanted, "Lord Goddess, please give me guidance." A blue light flashed from the angel's staff and shone on the queen's body. Ice and Amp. Snow Queen was like a god that possessed her body. Quietly feeling everything, an image appeared in her mind. Long Fei was bathed in blood trying to kill, slaying the evil dragon, exterminating the giant demons. Invincible. Beneath his feet were white bones, the skulls of thousands of people. Beneath the skull was a river of blood. Blood flowed like a river. 9 days. 9 lands under his feet. This scene caused Ice and Amp, Snow Queen's body, to tremble uncontrollably. Never been so afraid. He had never been this afraid, even when facing the demons of the West. Ice and Amp. Snow Queen said, "Lord Goddess, he is a demon, a super demon. Why are you guiding me this way? I don't understand." In the picture, Long Fei was a demon. Although he was able to kill the demons and exterminate the giant demons, the bones beneath his feet were enough to explain everything. The blue light on the angel's staff disappeared. The light enveloping the Ice and Amp. Snow Queen slowly dimmed and did not give any further hints. Ice and Amp. Snow Queen kneeled on the ground and begged unceasingly, but nothing strange happened to the angel's staff, and the blue gem on the crown also didn't emit any more light. She knelt on the ground and thought for a long time. The scene was not in the western mountains, but in a different place. Where could it be? Was he a demon? A hero? Ice and Amp. Snow Queen's heart was in a mess. He didn't understand what the goddess's guidance images were hiding. How do you want to select? Rumble. Rumble. In the valley, blood-red light shot up into the sky, and streams of thick devil fire surged out, forming a powerful force that spread out. Boom! With an explosion, a huge figure rushed out from the depths of the canyon. Looking at Long Fei, who was on top of the ice thunderbird, he shouted, "Die!" The monstrous pressure attacked heavily. Long Fei's mind stirred. As soon as the heaven-decimating sword fell, the holy source surged, and the entire sky was set ablaze. With a heavy stomp, it flew up, clashing head-on. A huge fist came crashing down from the sky. The fire heaven-decimating slash in Long Fei's hand. "Break for me!" Shwa! Long Fei shouted. The massive giant demon's eyes sank. No matter who you are, if you come to my territory, you will only have one ending: die. He was covered in moving corpses. These people, he should be one of the Ice and Amp, Snow City's undead warriors. In other words, if this giant demon was killed and these undead warriors were rescued, would there be a large number of raves? Ha ha! Long Fei laughed and said, "No matter who you are, in any case, your father has decided on you. Humph! With just you insignificant human, in my eyes you are nothing more than a lowly ant. This world belongs to me, and I am the paragon." The giant demon's voice was gloomy. The vibration caused Long Fei's eardrums to hurt. It was extremely uncomfortable. So powerful. I like it. Long Fei started to laugh excitedly. He liked the stronger the boss, because the stronger it was, the fiercer its drops would be. This Ice and Amp, Snow City should be another level of secret world. Even the people from the Tower Question of God did not know. This was the ultimate test of survival. But who would have thought that there would be another secret world hidden under this ice and snow plain? Moreover, this place was very special. When the giant demon saw Long Fei's excited expression, he felt extremely displeased. Any human would tremble in fear when they saw him, but Long Fei was actually very excited. He was unhappy. Boom! The demonic flames burned the sky. The giant demon roared and said, "Devil's flames burn the sky. Burn everything. Die. Die." Ha ha! Long Fei grinned and said, "Enchantment. Buzz. Exhaustion of 100,000 points. Long Fei's body instantly transformed into a magic body. Furthermore, following the change in the aura of the devil god, his body became incomparably huge, far more powerful than that of the giant demons. The 9 tribulations sword in his hand moved, pointing at the giant demon. He shouted loudly, "This little devil dares to be so impudent in front of real face. You're courting death." The might of the demonic god couldn't be shaken. The aura of the demon god was capable of crushing everything. The complete god's suffering force combined with the god's bone taboo. The strength of the god's stellastone had gone through a round of tempering and production of magic body. He was a supreme existence in front of any magic tribe. As the giant demon saw the demon god, he began to tremble, and fear began to emit from his bones. In that instant, he also became furious. "You can't possibly be a demon god. You are just a puppet created by a human." The demon god's 2 eyes opened wide, shouting out, "You're courting death." The 9 tribulations sword pierced through the void and absorbed all of the demonic flames in the sky. Then it slashed down ferociously. The temper of the demonic god, very irritable. They wanted to kill each other. However, in his heart, Long Fei was extremely excited and said, "Explode for me. Your father wants a divine spark." Chapter 1435, Light Speed Sword. Chapter 1435, Light Speed Sword. The demon god of the 9 tribulations, sword fell heavily. Boundless demonic god's killing intent engulfed the entire giant demon, forming strong gusts of killing. The giant demon screamed crazily. He didn't have any strength to resist. To deal with the magic tribe, the demonic god was even more powerful. He had brought the demonic god's might with him, so very few people could withstand it. Moreover, the devil god that Long Fei had bewitched was completely different from ordinary demons. This body was condensed using many unimaginable powers. The gash on the head of the troll began to drop rapidly. In the blink of an eye, his health fell to 0. The system's notification immediately sounded out. Long Fei's heart stirred, and he released the striking energy value he had just accumulated. 3-rate rampage. Activate. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Blood Giant Devil for obtaining 50,000 experience, 50,000 holy source points, and 1 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Blood Fong. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the holy artifact Demon Scythe. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. The system beep sounded continuously. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei, Demon God for continuous upgrades. Current level 23. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering 3-rate rampage. Please select the Domain Treasure Series, Water God Treasure Series, Heaven Series, Anime Series, Battle Mecha Series. A series of choices appeared in his mind. Long Fei glanced at it for a bit. I'll give you one more chance, don't get any more fishing rods out, and choose the universe's unknown series. The idea moved, and it instantly sounded. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Light Speed Sword. Do you wish to cultivate it? Ha ha ha. When Long Fei heard the 4 words Light Speed Sword, he immediately started laughing out loud. Finally a good thing. This is great. Light Speed Sword. How powerful is this? Cultivate. There was an extra skill in the skill bar. Skill path. Beam grade. Unknown in the universe attributes. Sword Art of Lightning. Light Speed Shuttle. All the martial arts in the world were invincible. Only speed was unbreakable. Light Speed Sword. What was needed was speed. This kind of sword technique was dazzling, so fast that people could not see it clearly. If they could not even see it clearly, how could they resist it? This berserk feels great. Ha ha ha. Long Fei was extremely excited as he looked at the properties of the Light Speed Sword. With the Heaven Decimating Sword, he lacked a good set of sword technique. The Heaven Decimating Flame combined with the Light Speed Sword, just 2 words, absolutely matched. At this time, the giant blood-colored demon fell down. The brave warrior on its body was still hovering in the air. Long Fei reacted very quickly. These are all things that can make the Ice and Snow Gala's lottery draw. How can they be wasted? Sky-swallowing rat. Can you hurry up? Aren't you being too slow? Eat, eat. A big wave is coming. Long Fei urged. As his space ring could not even hold it anymore, he could only allow it to devour him as soon as possible. Speaking of sky-swallowing rat, he felt like it was the new year. It felt great. As he crazily devoured the energy within his body, his cultivation base also rapidly increased. Long Fei took out the Heart of Snow and said, "Come, let's begin our final round of craziness." As the dead soul was absorbed into the system, a system notification rang out. Ding! Congratulations to the player, Long Fei, for obtaining the free lottery draw for absorbing Ice and Snow Death Spirit. Do you want to start the lottery? Yes, sir. The wheel appeared in front of Long Fei. Every time it appeared, the things on it would be different, but there were a few things that did not change. For example, the mysterious gift pack. For example, Heaven Fairyland, Secret World of Hell. For example, mystery was the most powerful object, a divine spark. These things have always existed. However, Long Fei had never hit a spot on his hand before. The wheel began to spin again. Ding! Congratulations to the player, Long Fei, for obtaining the Qilin Sacred Blood and releasing the fusion? Huh! Long Fei was startled. He immediately controlled the Devourer's vein and asked, "Fire Unicorn, is the Qilin Sacred Blood useful for you?" The Fire Unicorn nodded like a chick pecking rice. Yes, yes, yes. My Qilin blood vein is not pure. If I can fuse with the Qilin Sacred Blood, I can quickly level up. Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei immediately said, "This is for you." The Fire Unicorn was moved to tears and said, "Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master." Qilin Sacred Blood. The power of the Qilin ancestor's blood could allow him to unleash the strongest power of a Qilin blood vein. It could be said that with the blood of the Qilin, he would be able to reach the peak of the Qilin clan. How could he not be moved? Be it humans or beasts, both wanted to become stronger. After the Qilin's sacred blood was devoured by the fire unicorn, his body was covered in red light, and the fire unicorn was completely focused on cultivation. This time isn't bad. Long Fei was slightly happy. He was happy that his brother could become stronger. Again, ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. Ding, ding. There were many ice and snow spirits that died, and they were crazily being sucked into Long Fei's heart of ice and snow. At the same time, Long Fei also drew. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Ace Call card. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Sage Huanglong's possession strength. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Nightmare Call card. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Immortal Trapping Rope. Ding. He was so irritable that there was nothing left to play around with. This tempo was simply too refreshing. When Long Fei killed the beasts, most of the things he obtained were holy artifact-s, armors, and the like. This time, most of the things he obtained were call card or some sort of attaching force. It was so satisfying that he didn't want it. Ha ha ha. I'm rich. I'm rich. I'm rich this time. Long Fei was ecstatic and kept on drawing prizes. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Chang'e Call card. Sister Chang'e is here. Can you even slap her? Long Fei's mind became evil. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Missimo Call card. It's another girl, and it was a female gun. Wow, Lousy is going to slap him. Long Fei laughed sinisterly. There were more and more call cards, and the like. It didn't matter if they could be summoned, but even if they could, they would only be able to fight for 5 minutes. What could he do at this time? Moreover, even if they exchanged many loyalty stone and fused them into permanent cards, where would they put them? This was a difficult problem. If only there was a special place for them. I don't care. It's time for the lottery draw. Half an hour later, seeing that there were still 3 lottery draws left, Long Fei's heart was moved. I still haven't gotten my divine spark. I've got 3 last chances. Chapter 1436. Hell, Heavenly Court. Chapter 1436. Hell, Heavenly Court, the divine spark, was like the heaven gate at the top of a slot machine. The chances were too small. His hand was about to get swollen, but he still did not hit the target. It had to be said that Long Fei's character was not that good. Last 3 chances. Long Fei let out a heavy breath. Phew, Demacia, activate. Long Fei fiercely pulled out his hand, and the spinning wheel started to spin quickly, going through each ring one by one. Long Fei stared at the column with his eyes fixated on the divine spark and chanted an incantation in his heart, Divine spark, divine spark. I love you, just like a mouse loves rice. Divine spark, I miss you. Seeing the pointer turn away, Long Fei immediately said like a frosted eggplant, Your sister, can you still play properly? Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for reaching the secret world of Hell. Hell's secret world. Long Fei was startled and asked, What is that? Initially, when he ate the super big sesame seed cakes, he exchanged for a few things, of which this secret world of Hell was one. However, Long Fei had never been able to draw it. The sudden draw made Long Fei shudder, and he immediately checked the attributes of the secret world of Hell. Item: Secret World of Hell attribute, spatial class grade. Description: This secret world is the evil secret world. It provides training for the evil demons. Once activated, they will follow the player around, and if there is any external power, the evil demon can be placed inside to cultivate. Description 2. This secret world has a lifespan of 1 million years. What? Long Fei was a little confused. System, why don't you explain it to me? What kind of evil demon provides this training secret world? Could it be that this secret world is a secret training ground? Instead of the infernal realm, you're giving me a leveled-up instance dungeon secret world. Ding! System notification. The Hell secret world is a training ground. Players can use the external strength of the demonic attribute, such as call card, possession power, etc. As long as it is demonic attribute, they can be placed in the Hell secret world to cultivate, but the prerequisite is that they have to have permanent access to it. Ha ha! Hearing the system's explanation, Long Fei laughed out loud. Does that mean I can create a demon army now? That's not right. It should be an army of aliens. Zhan Wushuang, you are awesome, right? Have you met Chang'e? Have you met Miss Misfortune? Have you seen an ancient giant dragon? I just want to ask, who else is there? Long Fei was excited. With this hellhole training ground, what was there for him to worry about? Long Fei did not receive many body transformation cards in his draw this time. He only got a few hundred of them. These hundreds of videos were all amazing figures in the legends. They were all godlike existences. You want to cause trouble? They could turn the sky upside down. Furthermore, Long Fei's heart became even more evil. If we can make them permanent, then Chang'e, Sis Lucky, and those girls that want to kill me, wouldn't they? At this moment, Long Fei's brain was all evil. In the past, he only thought that it would be great if he could pull out the characters in the game and give them a good beating, but now he was afraid that it wouldn't be long before he could achieve it. This was what it felt like. Hell's secret world is also known as the Hell base. It can help Evil Call card level up. In the future, they will definitely become a berserk army. Long Fei became excited, looked at the last 2 chances, and the idea moved. Activate Demetia. Although the secret world S of Hell are good, but what Long Fei wanted the most was still a divine spark. A divine spark could defy the heavens and change fate. It could do whatever it wanted in Chaos Realm. Divine spark, I love you like a mouse loves rice. Divine sparks, give us some face, give us a chance. Give me a chance. I'll allow you to soar into the heavens. The needle once more turned the divine spark. Long Fei sighed. You really want to die for your divine spark, don't you? Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Heaven Fairyland. What kind of luck is that? What is Heaven Fairyland? Long Fei trembled slightly, looking at it. The attribute of the Heaven Fairyland was similar to the secret world S of Hell. The Hell's secret world was of the darkness element, while the Heaven Fairyland was of the light faction. Darkness, light. It was either darkness or light. In other words, no matter what kind of call card Long Fei picked, he could enter the secret world to cultivate, and he could also... Training in these 2 secret bases can raise one's speed by several times. The infernal realm has arrived. The heavenly court has won now as well. Brother Godspark, you are the only one left. Long Fei rubbed his hands together. This was his last chance. If he did not hit, then he would lose this chance. He had drawn so many good things, and they were all pretty good. However, if he wanted to absolutely crush Zhan Wushuang, then he would have to draw this divine spark. Otherwise, it would still be impossible to do. After all, how strong was Zhan Wushuang's cultivation, that he was a man who possessed a main artifact? Long Fei didn't know at all that if he could obtain this divine spark, none of that was a problem. This is my last chance. Long Fei moved. Come. The wheel started to spin, frantically. Long Fei closed his eyes tightly, not daring to look at it. He thought to himself, Brother Shingo, please give me some face. You have to make me feel good about it. The wheel slowly turned, and Long Fei did not look, but quietly listened. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for getting the God. Hearing the word God, Long Fei instantly became excited. He fiercely opened his eyes and looked at the place the needle on the wheel was pointing at, and immediately kicked it. I'll go. With a single kick, he sent the wheel flying. The word God was not followed by Gu, but the word Yuan. What is divine energy? Can you give me some face? Long Fei was really unhappy. One thought of hell, one thought of heaven. Now, he fell straight into the dark abyss. What bush asterisk T God essence? Long Fei didn't even take a glance. The blow was too great. He had no interest in checking its stats. His heart felt like it had suffered 1,000,000 hits and had been hit thousands of times, but he still hadn't drawn his divine spark. This luck, he was about to chop off his hands. However, if Long Fei had seen the properties of the divine Yuan, he wouldn't have ended up like this, because it was far, far more powerful than a divine spark. There was no way for a divine spark to be compared to a divine origin realm cultivator. Divine origin, the source of power which sovereigns possessed. Young Master Long, we've finally found you. Yi Jingyun ran over while gasping for breath. Seeing Long Fei sitting on the ground with a displeased expression on his face, he could not help but ask, What happened? Nangong Yen looked at his surroundings and said, That demonic flame has disappeared. Long Fei said indifferently, I killed him. Yi Jingyun and Nangong Yen looked at Long Fei in astonishment and could not recover from their shock for a long time. Finally, Yi Jingyun said, Young Master Long, then should we return now? Long Fei took a glance at the space ring-s that were filled to the brim, then turned and thought of the heavenly court and hell base, and said, Wait. Chapter 1437, Crazy Fusion. Chapter 1437, Crazy Fusion. There were too many things. Long Fei had wanted to give all of them to Li Yuanba and the others. However, they all had their own special attributes of power, so none of these things were suitable for them. As for the Beastmen, Warrior S, and disciples of the Kunlun Sect S, they only had enough of the holy artifact that Long Fei had created last time. These things had to be disposed of. Moreover, since he had drawn Hell, the two main bases of the heavenly court, he couldn't afford to waste it. Long Fei opened up the exchange hall system and placed an item on top of it. Exchange points. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 5,000 points. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100,000 points. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. He didn't have many reservations after exchanging them one by one. As for Sky Swallowing Rat, he had a round stomach and could not eat anymore. His level was currently too low, and he could not absorb too much food. Just the food in his stomach was enough for him to level up several times, which would take him several months. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 30,000 points. The exchange lasted for a whole hour. Long Fei exchanged everything he could. There were some things that could not be exchanged, such as divine energy. It was not because it could not be exchanged, but because it could not be exchanged with the current level of the merchant shop system. Is beyond its range. The number of points that could be exchanged was countless, but the divine energy was even more formidable than his, so he was unable to directly exchange it. However, Long Fei still did not look at it, nor did he examine its attributes, because it had truly hurt Long Fei. After an hour of exchanging, Long Fei looked at the points he had. Damn, a total of 23 billion points. How awesome. Looking at that long string of zeros, Long Fei's blood began to boil. However, when Long Fei turned around and looked at the things that he had exchanged for, he had to double his points to buy them. System, aren't you from Africa? Isn't it too dark? Long Fei muttered as he switched to the trading system. Looking at the loyalty stone, he slowly exhaled and said, "Exchange." Ding. Points 18 million. Ding. Points 18 million. Ding. Points 18 million. A single loyalty stone cost 180 million points. Long Fei thought that his worth of 23 billion points was already enough. After exchanging for 10 loyalty stone in a row, he looked like he was in a bad mood. This is too darned. Only the loyalty stone could make these cards that had a time limit become permanent and enter the heavenly court or hell base. Loyalty stone could only be obtained by the system reward or by trading it in a commercial city. Long Fei had no other choice but to gather up his courage and exchange. My points, my money, After exchanging all his points for loyalty stone, he only had a few tens of millions of points left. Huff! Long Fei exhaled lightly as he thought in his heart. The loyalty stone had been completely exchanged, and now it's time to rely on luck again. The idea moved. Long Fei took out a piece of call card, and on the other side was a piece of loyalty stone. Ding! Fusion successful. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Sage Huanglong permanent call card. He succeeded on the first step. Beat the iron while it's hot. Long Fei continuously fused with it. Fusion had successes and failures as well. Because it was a level 1 fusion, its success rate was relatively high, and the 127 loyalty stone had succeeded. In other words, Long Fei now had 100 permanent call card, including red hair, including Chang'e, including Lady Misfortune. All of these were either distributed to the heavenly court or to the underworld base for cultivation. This was Long Fei's other trump card. After all this had been arranged, Long Fei had doubts in his heart and thought to himself, if these aliens can enter the training grounds, where is that person? Can I go in? I'll give it a try. Then, Long Fei summoned the Hell Secret World. The idea moved and said, Evil Spring, go into Hell and take a look. Following Long Fei's control, the Evil Spring was absorbed by the Hell Secret World. Ding! The attributes are incorrect. We are unable to enter. Incorrect attributes. Evil Spring, are you still from Light Faction? Long Fei muttered, and then turned to open the Heaven Fairyland. Just as expected, the Evil Spring entered the Heavenly Court. The Evil Spring was also extremely excited. Master, the chi is too dense here. I feel my whole body is hot. I'm going to burn. Boom! A stream of water sprayed out. Buzz! In that moment, the Evil Spring released an incomparably comfortable moan and said, Master, I've broken through. Damn! It worked, Long Fei thought. If that's the case, then what about Li Yuanba and the others? Could they also enter the training grounds? If they could, then my God's martial sect. At this moment, Long Fei was incomparably excited. In the heavenly court and the infernal realm, the two major training bases were filled with dense spiritual chi of heaven and earth, which was several times more than the ones outside. What's more, it was more important. Long Fei could bring all of them with him. God's martial sect will also disappear just like that, and can also descend from heaven to earth, appearing right in front of you in the blink of an eye. These two secret worlds had a duration of 1 million years, so Long Fei didn't have to worry about anything during this period of time. If it was really as Long Fei had expected, that was even more amazing than guild teleportation. He no longer had to worry about the plane of separation and was restricted by the laws to meet again. Then, Long Fei placed all of the fire unicorn S into the heaven and said, "Cultivate well for me." On the other hand, the Yuan Yang Big Beast and Black Flame entered the Hell's base. After doing all this, Long Fei suddenly stood up and asked, "How much time do we have left before 3 days of Secret World's survival time?" Yi Jingyun said, "3 days have already passed. I don't know why we haven't teleported out. Could something have happened there?" It didn't teleport out. Long Fei's heart tightened as he faintly felt that something had happened. Nangong Yen slightly said, "Logically speaking, we would automatically teleport back when it's time. After all, ice and snow plane can quickly suck all the holy source from our pubes, so if we don't teleport out, there's no way for us to find the exit." Yi Jingyan said, "Could it be because we are here? Will we be forgotten?" Long Fei also thought of this point and muttered, "Could it really be because we are in another secret world?" Long Fei was slightly taken aback, but immediately said, "Don't worry about that for now. Return to Ice and Amp, Snow City first." Thinking about Ice and Amp, Snow Queen's sexy figure, Long Fei became evil. "I'll tell you after." Chapter 1438, Husband Sleeping Wife. Chapter 1438, Husband Sleeping Wife in Another Place. "Let us out. Hurry up and let us out." Why? Why is this happening? On the ice and snow plain, dozens of disciples were frozen into ice statues. The 3 days of extreme survival testing had already passed, but none of them had been teleported out. He had clearly said that he would be teleported when the time came, but now they were so cold that they couldn't even stand it. He shouted weakly. However, their voices could not be heard by anyone other than themselves. Obviously, with the exit of the secret world destroyed, the power that was sent out was blocked. There was no special exit that they could stay in forever. In other words, they were abandoned. "Let me out. I don't want to take the examination anymore. Can't I just give up on the examination? It's so cold. We're going to be so cold. Let us out." The voice was so weak and pale. No one cared if they lived or died. A Tower Question of God Assessment Board. The position of manager of the East Sung assessment was taken away, but he did not give up on making representations and continued to search for people, search for connections, but it was completely useless. Not a single elder bothered with him. Wang Shishir disappeared. The third elder was sent out. The entire Tower Question of God seemed to have forgotten that there was a group of examinees within the ice-snow secret world. All of this was to deal with Long Fei, to let him have a better breakthrough. As long as Zhan Wushuang could clear the 100 levels of Tower Question of God, he would be able to enter the ancient holy battlefield. He would be able to unleash an extremely powerful force that would bring honor and glory to their Chaos Realm's Tower Question of God, as well as the rewards of a god. As for sacrificing these examinees, in order to accomplish great things, there must be sacrifices. Not to mention, not a single one of these examinees had the qualifications to compete with Zhan Wushuang, whether it was in terms of talent or potential. All of them were incomparable to Zhan Wushuang. Beast City. The sky was lit up by the fire of the beacons, and the flames in the city were everywhere. It was a complete mess. City Lord's mansion, other than 8 King Kong, who was slightly better, all of them were heavily injured. The Great Hall was also silent. This time, the Hellgate was going all out, and there were still the 9 secret warrior family-s. They could not block it at all. Countless disciples had died. Right now, he was only doing a powerless defense. He wouldn't be able to hold on for more than a few days. Gue Ro said softly, If Lord Husband was here, he would definitely have a way to bring us out. Long Fei, Yang Yu muttered, where are you now? Kunlun Zi said solemnly, 9 secret warrior family, and Hellgate have joined hands to deal with us. It is very obvious. Sect Master was probably targeted everywhere during the Tower Question of God test. We can't give the sect leader any more trouble. We must carry the banner. Even if the sect master is not here, we must still walk down arrogantly. Hualin said heavily, yes. With a heavy voice, Lei Dun said, if sect master is not here, we should continue to walk forward arrogantly. So what if you are a 9 secret warrior family? At most, I'll just die. Li Yuanba stood up and said, well said. At worst, if I die, even if I die, I will drag them down with me. There were many wounds on Li Yuanba's body. He suddenly stood up, and his wounds ruptured. Fresh blood gushed out from his wounds. Next, Sky Spirit, Arhut, Descending Dragon, Chun, Tianfei, Aoya, Black Knife, Lin Yusheng all stood up and said solemnly, fight it out with them. Kill them. Men die and birds rise to the sky. They will not die for tens of thousands of years. Facing any powerhouse, 8 King Kong had never been afraid. Even if they were to face the gods, they would not be afraid, let alone the Hellgate. However, their cultivation levels were still not strong enough, unable to guarantee Beast City. Furthermore, this time, Zhan Wushuang was really planning to kill. He had to pull all of Long Fei's power out of the ground and leave no repercussions. The powerhouse he had sent out this time was too powerful. It was something that Li Yuanba and the rest couldn't handle. 3 days. The Beast City was strewn with corpses, and the city walls had been destroyed. The city had a population of over 1 million, and now there were less than 100,000 people. Now, the final battle. Carrying the giant spirit axe on his shoulder, Li Yuanba walked out of the city lord's mansion. His gaze was like an angry King Kong as he looked at the huge army of Hellgate on the distant hillside and roared out heavily, come, Ice and Amp, Snow City. He's back. The king is back. On the city wall, many guards began to cheer because the western devil fire had already disappeared and could not be sensed at all. In other words, the group of western devils had already been killed. The king returned triumphantly. Ice and Amp, Snow Queen did not have a smile on her face. Looking at the scene of blood flowing like a river beneath Long Fei's feet, she still could not make a choice. Milady Queen, do you want to open the door? Ice and Amp, Snow Queen did not speak. One of the ministers standing next to her spoke again. Your Majesty, do you wish to open the door to welcome us? Milady Queen, everyone in the city knows that Wang Jieshi has returned. We must personally go out to welcome him, otherwise we will be disheartened. When Ice and Amp, Snow Queen saw the scene of the river of blood, her heart trembled slightly. She was sure. Long Fei was a demon. A super great demon. What would happen if he put it in the Ice and Amp, Snow City? Huff. Ice and Amp, Snow Queen took a deep breath and said, open the gate and welcome Wang Kai back. Long Fei and the other 2 walked into the Ice and Amp, Snow City. As the children offered flowers, the citizens welcomed them with open arms. They constantly called out, King, King, King. At the very back of the crowd, the Ice and Amp, Snow Queen was tall and cold. That kind of sacred and unreachable feeling made the evil in Long Fei's heart even more intense. Step by step, he walked in front of Ice and Amp, Snow Queen, and said, I'm back. I'm using my own strength to prove that I'm the king. Do you understand now? Long Fei stared at Ice and Amp, Snow Queen blankly. Yi Zichen didn't avoid his gaze at all. Ice and Amp. Snow Queen looked at Long Fei. She was very tall, around 8 meters tall, a little taller than Long Fei. At this moment, Ice and Amp, Snow Queen slowly knelt down on one knee. With incomparable piety, he said, "Welcome back, my king." At this moment, the entire city cheered. The corner of Long Fei's mouth hooked up as he walked forward and carried Ice and Amp, Snow Queen, in a domineering manner. He waved his arms and said, "My world, I am the ruler." Ice and Amp, Snow Queen's body emitted a faint fragrance. He could feel the Ice and Amp, Snow Queen, slightly trembling, and also, this time, there was something in her eyes. The gaze she used to look at Long Fei was a little strange. It was as if he was afraid. However, Long Fei didn't care that much. Carrying Ice and Amp, Snow Queen, he walked directly to her chambers, threw her onto the wide bed, and said softly, "I have conquered the Western devils. Now it's my turn to conquer you." Ice and Amp, Snow Queen's body trembled slightly as he stared at Long Fei and said, "You can't do this. It can't be like this. I am your king. I am your husband. Your husband sleeps with his wife. It is only natural. Why can't I be like this?" Long Fei laughed. The more aloof it was, the more Long Fei would want to test it out. Chapter 1439. Initiating Super Teleportation. Chapter 1439. Initiating Super Teleportation. Ice and Amp, Snow Queen curled her body and trembled a little. She didn't know why, but she felt a kind of fear towards Long Fei that came from the bottom of her heart. The image in his mind was still lingering. Blood flowed into rivers and bones piled into mountains. Long Fei's entire body was covered in blood, standing at the peak. He looked down upon the world. He was a king and also a demon. Seeing Long Fei's playful expression, Ice and Amp, Snow Queen, was still in a state of panic as he said, "You're a demon, you're a great devil." Long Fei laughed and said, "Since I am a demon, then I should do what demons like to do." He rushed forward, fiercely pressing down on Ice and Amp, Snow Queen's body. Long Fei said, "Aren't you cold and proud? Aren't you noble? Aren't you aloof and cold like ice? I want to conquer you." Long Fei became rough. To deal with such a cold queen, one had to be straightforward and straightforward, ruthlessly violent. 2 hours later, satisfied, the Ice and Amp, Snow Queen did not have any more arrogant aura. Replacing it was delicate panting, as if she had lost herself, unable to extricate herself. Long Fei slapped her white. "But what am I now? Demon or a hero?" Ice and Amp, Snow Queen looked at Long Fei with a serious face and said, "You are not a demon nor a hero. You are my king." Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed out crazily. Ice and Amp, Snow Queen leaned on Long Fei's back with a gentle face. Women are like that. The moment the relationship occurred, she would change. Originally cold, the queen on the Ice Mountain throne had now turned into a gluey little fairy. He went all out, afraid that Long Fei would not want him. While the relationship was happening, Ice and Amp, Snow Queen's mind was still in a mess. He did not know what choice he had made, but at the last second, she made her choice. No matter what Long Fei was, she had even chosen Long Fei, the devil who destroyed the world, the hero who saved the world. No matter what he was still the king in her heart. Why did this happen? Maybe it was because he was comfortable. Ice and Amp, Snow Queen leaned on Long Fei and said, "I saw a mountain of white bones beneath your feet and a river of blood. That scene was too terrifying. How did you see this?" Long Fei felt that it was strange. The Ice and Amp, Snow Queen, did not hide anything and said, "There is a secret room in the Ice and Amp, Snow City that has been passed down for God knows how many years. It is an Archangel's staff." Archangel's staff. Goddess tear. Long Fei immediately thought of the matter of the goddess tear. The goddess tear was one of the materials needed to synthesize the archangel's staff. Could it be this was the clue of the quest? And then Long Fei immediately turned around to look at Ice and Amp, Snow Queen, and said, "Can you take me to see?" Ice and Amp, Snow Queen hesitated for a moment and said, "All right." The rewards for the SSS level mission goddess tier were plentiful. Moreover, most importantly, Long Fei wanted to know the secret behind the goddess tier. Who exactly was she? The power that erupted from the god's martial continent's goddess tier saved him many times, and that familiar feeling made him feel incomparable warmth. Mother? He was the reincarnation of a Yuan Long, but the Yuan Long had already been devoured by him, and it wasn't the Yuan Long's woman. Who could it be? This problem had been plaguing Long Fei since the beginning. The clue to the mission that the ice and snow plane triggered. Goddess tier must be unraveled. The two big SSS-level missions in Chaos Realm, JoJo's Heart of Phoenix. This mission was basically already completed, and now they were waiting for JoJo's rebirth. Is the goddess tier quest also going to be solved now? Half an hour later, the two of them walked into the secret room. Long Fei looked at the staff floating above the array, and his heart tensed up. The staff of the Archangel is really similar. Ice and Amp, Snow Queen asked, "Have you seen it before?" Long Fei shook his head and said, "I've never seen this world before." But he had seen it many times in the game. Long Fei carefully took out the goddess tier, following that two energies formed a resonance, and an azure light illuminated the entire secret room. Ice and Amp, Snow Queen's face was filled with piety, and he directly kneeled on the ground. Long Fei stood in place without moving an inch as an image appeared in his mind, and that familiar figure once again appeared in his mind. Beautiful, moving, gentle, and charming. A warm feeling that made Long Fei feel incomparable comfort. Finally, the scene changed, and the Nine Heavens vortex began to spin. 100-layer god's tower descended from the sky, suppressing the figure. Long Fei exhaled. "No!" Rumble. The scene disappeared, and everything returned to normal. At this moment, Long Fei sweated profusely, and his entire body was drenched in sweat. In that instant, as if his mind had experienced the great war of the primordial era, he heavily swallowed his saliva. Tower question of God. Could it be? Is the goddess Tyr's ultimate task goal also amongst the tower question of God? The father of this body left something for him in the tower question of God. His own father, Long Zhanting, also left something for him in the tower question of God. Now, even the shadow of the goddess Tyr pointed towards the tower question of God. Long Fei frowned. The tower question of God was the most mysterious and powerful place in the Chaos Realm. It is the organization of a god. He specifically wanted to go to the divine battlefield to transport talented disciples, but it was only what Long Fei understood. But in reality, is it really just a divine organization, or was it hiding something else? For a moment, Long Fei couldn't understand what was going on. However, he had to enter the tower question of God. He had to pass through the tower question of God. Otherwise, all the doubts in his heart would not be able to be answered. "Wang, what happened to you?" "The ice and Amp," Snow Queen said lightly. Long Fei regained his composure. The Archangel staff had also calmed down, and the goddess Tyr flew down from the Archangel staff, landing in Long Fei's palm quietly. Long Fei said indifferently, "I'm fine. I want to leave this place and return to my world." Ice and Amp. Snow Queen had already known this from the start, but he still felt a little uncomfortable as he said, "The secret world's exit has already been destroyed. There's no way out at all. Why don't you stay here with me? How about this?" Long Fei said, "I have to go back." He had too many things to do. What did you just say? The secret world's exit was destroyed. Long Fei was shocked. He clenched his fists tightly and said, Zhan Wushuang, you are really ruthless, sending out killers. Didn't you say you want to destroy secret world's exit? I must get out. You have a way? Long Fei looked at Ice and Amp, Snow Queen. Zhan Wushuang didn't want him to live. Then he must live. Moreover, the more Zhan Wushuang targeted him, the more obvious that something big was happening outside. Huff, Ice and Amp, Snow Queen breathed out and said, I have a way to get you all out. A few hours later, the God-level mountain range. Space twisted. A void door appeared. Long Fei was the first one to fly towards the void door. The idea moved and looked straight at Beast City, who had his eyes pierced. Chapter 1440. Save us. Chapter 1440. Save us. He rushed out of the void to check what was happening within his true eye range. Long Fei saw corpses littered the ground as the army of hell massacred the citizens of the continent. Seeing the 8 King Kongs suffering from severe injuries, he finally managed to hold on. He was furious. The reason he entered the tower question of God assessment was so that he could receive protection. But the result? It was the same. It was better not to bully him. Since that was the case, then go through them all. In that moment, Long Fei inserted his other eye. The idea moved at the same time. Super teleportation. LOL summoner skill. Teleport. Activate. Long Fei's body disappeared from the spot in a short moment. Yi Jingyun and Nangong Yen, who had just rushed out of the void door, saw Long Fei suddenly disappear and were startled. Immediately after, the other disciples also rushed out towards the void door. They were frozen stiff, but after feeling the pubes slowly recovering, they slowly calmed down. Thank you, young Master Long. Many thanks. Let's hurry back to the exam to make up for it. Since we've come out, we should have a result. Let's hurry back. Right. Hurry up and go back. Yi Jingyun immediately yelled, Young Master Long hasn't come back yet. What are you going back for? Everyone is waiting for him here. Everyone shivered. Many people muttered, what does his return have to do with us? That's right. If he doesn't want to continue with the assessment, does he still want us to give up? If we go back too late and disqualify from the exam, who would be responsible for it? Can he afford it? Let's not talk about that anymore. After all, we were saved by the young Master Long. Everyone just wait. Those people were suppressed. If not for Long Fei, they would have been trapped inside, unable to come out. At the last moment, Long Fei appeared and used a ray of energy to cut open the void, opening a void door before he escaped. Everyone sat on the ground and slowly recovered. Nangong Yen looked into the sky and muttered, Long Fei, where did you go? Ha ha ha. They're going to die immediately. Kill them all for me. The young lord has ordered us to kill them all. One of the elders from the Hell Gate said in a heavy voice, looking at the 8 King Kong on the battlefield struggling to hold on. He could not help but sneer. 8 King Kong is truly extraordinary, with such extraordinary power. If not for them, blood would have flowed like a river and become a dead city. However, so what? No matter how strong they are only 8 people. No matter how strong they are only the cultivation of the Emperor Listes. They can't overturn the heavens. Ha ha ha. The 8 King Kong was very strong. Not their strength, but their will to fight, their spirit of never giving in. Absolutely not. It was tough. In addition, the Kunlun sect and the Beastman warrior fought with their lives on the line, so even a small beast city was unable to take them down for 6 days and 6 nights. However, now, at the final moment, one of the walls of the beast city had collapsed, and the city had been destroyed. 8 King Kong's holy source was exhausted, Beast City was on the verge of death, and all of Kunlun Sek's disciples had fallen to the ground one by one, all of them doing their best. He really couldn't take it anymore. Are we going to die? Gue Ro looked at Yang Yu with a pale face and said, Big Sister Yang Yu, are we going to die? I really miss my husband. For 6 days and 6 nights, she constantly forged combat puppets. Her pubes began to shrivel due to her constant overdraft, causing her to feel extremely uncomfortable. Yang Yu shook his head. It won't. We will all live on happily. She didn't even believe what she said. How could she still live? It was impossible to be alive in this situation. In the entire Beast City, only the 8 King Kong was bitterly resisting, but right now, they could only use their own bodies to fight. It was just a matter of time before the Hellgate's men started this despicable battle. No one could save them. Long Fei, where are you? In her heart, she was also calling out to Long Fei. At this time, she really wanted to see Long Fei again. Where are you? Long Fei, come back and save us. Yang Yu's heart was torn. Rumble! A powerful force came crashing down. A palm struck out and sent Aoya flying. She collapsed on the ground. Uffed! He spat out a mouthful of blood, his face extremely pale. The powerhouse figure moved, and the moment Aoya landed, he mercilessly stomped on her. Eldest sister-in-law. Boom! Li Yuanba's body trembled, and a little golden light emerged from his body. Aoya was a sword force King Kong of the 8 King Kong, but in Li Yuanba's eyes, she was her sister-in-law. Seeing that Aoya was blasted away, he instantly blocked her attack. His fists were like hammers as they heavily smashed forward. Trash! Your opponent is me. The moment Li Yuanba rushed forward, the other powerhouse attacked. The sword in his hand became like a nail and thrusted forward. The sword chi was like a rainbow. Slash! A bloody hole appeared in Li Yuanba's chest. The sword pierced through and fresh blood surged. As if he didn't feel it, Li Yuanba's fist still blasted the powerhouse away. He stood in front of Aoya and heavily kicked at the ground for a while. Boom! Boom! He stabbed it ruthlessly into the ground, glared at Kong Kim, and said solemnly, "Come on!" It was like a thunderbolt. There was blood all over his body, and there were dozens of wounds all over his body. Right now, Li Yuanba seemed as though he had crawled out of a pool of blood. At the same time, his life was also falling rapidly. Aoya climbed up from the ground with much difficulty, looked at the sky, and said, "Long Fei, where are you? Come back and save us." Her heart was about to break down. Seeing her brothers heavily injured and struggling to survive, her heart ached. He really couldn't take it anymore. Boom! Lin Yushin was blasted out, smashing a building into ruins. He fell down in the rubble as he looked at the sky, his eyes filled with despair, and muttered, "Boss, come back quickly." Boom! Another King Kong was sent flying and crashed on the ground. Boom! The Arhut was blasted away and fell on the ground. He wanted to get up, but was stomped under the feet of the Hellgate-S, unable to get up at all. The limit of the 8 King Kong. They really couldn't take it anymore. Ha ha ha. 8 King Kong. 8 big dog turds are about the same. Ha ha ha. A powerhouse stepped forward, instantly landing above Beast City. Seeing the 8 people being crushed, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Even more arrogant. Why have they all become dead dogs? Ha ha ha. You don't have the qualifications to go against my Hellgate. That elder was incomparably proud. And then, as his laughter faded, he said coldly, "Kill them all. Leave none alive." Li Yuanba clenched his fists tightly, his strong heart crumbling as he shouted loudly, "Boss!" In the sky, a figure descended from the sky. Chapter 1441. More than lousy? Chapter 1441. More than lousy? A loud sound echoed in the sky. Rumble! A vortex of lightning exploded, and a figure descended from the sky. Almost at this moment, the figure landed heavily on the ground with an incredibly thick and violent killing intent. In his hand was a huge flaming sword. The moment he fell, kill! Zhu Rong's sword chi burst forth with Long Fei's anger. The flames burned. It was as if a meteor had streaked across the sky, incomparably savage and cruel. Boom! That elder who was laughing so proudly a moment ago, their heads were chopped off and they rolled on the ground. Their eyes were wide open and they didn't even know how they died. Blood sprayed all over the ground. Too fast and too fierce. There was no time to react at all. Instant kill. Rumble! The moment the flames fell, a figure landed heavily on the ground. The killing intent on his body burned crazily as he stared at the Hell Army that had charged into Beast City, his eyes bloodshot. As boss! Ha ha ha! Li Yuanba immediately laughed excitedly. Long Fei! Master! Boss! Ha ha ha! The boss is back! The Grand Master is back! When his voice fell, the entire Beast City seemed to have instantly erupted with activity. Long Fei was their only hope. Seeing Long Fei's appearance, they were all extremely excited, as if they had been injected with stimulants. They all stood up from the ground. Long Fei moved. Healing spring. The heavenly quartz base was opened. The healing spring was summoned by Long Fei. As the healing spring leveled up, its current healing area could cover the entire Beast City. It healed crazily. The wound quickly healed and could be seen with the naked eye. The cultivation speed of the heavenly court is truly fast. Boss, Li Yuanba said excitedly. Long Fei said in a faint voice, recover well. Don't say anything else. Just leave this to me. Humph. Long Fei, you came back at the perfect time, just when we were worrying about where to find you. Who knew that you would come knocking yourself? You are courting death. An elder shouted in a deep voice, you should be at the tower question of God's assessment. If you come back at this time, there's only one reason. You're eliminated. Ha ha ha. Trash is trash. The tower question of God's elimination product. Who can protect you trash like this? Kid, you will never have a good ending if you go against our young lord. Several elders clamored. At the same time, the army of hell quickly moved forward and surrounded Long Fei. On the hillside, Zhan Hongta squinted. He actually came back. He should be trapped in secret world by Wu Shuang. Could he have escaped? Humph. That's good as well. I will take care of him along the way, and do not distract him. Wu Shuang is at the peak of the ascendant stage, and she wants to enter the ancient holy battlefield. I absolutely cannot give up on her future because of him. Kid, you must die today. Killing intent surged within his heart. Zhan Hongtu's hand lightly moved and said, go kill him. Yes, sir. The two old men behind him moved slightly, then disappeared in the blink of an eye. The corner of Long Fei's mouth revealed a sinister sneer and said, courting death. With just you? One of the elders sneered. Aren't we enough? It's enough to deal with one of you. Long Fei, you are just a piece of trash. Not waiting for him to finish. Long Fei's figure moved, and he executed the first slash of the heaven-decimating slash, light speed sword. With a flash of light, his sword energy slashed out. Shwa, ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing. His body was split into two halves, and he had no time to react at all. This was called the speed of light. It was so fast that it made one's hair stand on end. Long Fei laughed coldly. Continue. The expression of the elders from the Hell Gate darkened. They did not even see clearly how fast Longfei had attacked, nor did they see how he had killed so many people. Their idea could not even sense him, let alone see him with their naked eyes. He's only one person, everyone attacked together. An elder shouted loudly. The few elders looked at each other and stepped forward at the same time. The disciples of the Hell Gate also followed. If one of them isn't a worthy opponent, then use 10, using 100, 1,000. The servants will kill you. However, was there no one on Longfei? Longfei sneered and said, "More than others?" One of the elders laughed. "That's right, there are more people than others. Kid, do you have anyone? Your people are dead dogs now, aren't they? Look at their pitiful appearance. They look just like pitiful worms." Ha ha ha. As soon as he finished, boom, a man with red hair and a black robe suddenly dropped to the ground. 3 scars at the corner of his eyes, a small mustache, and sharp eyes. In his hand was a knife. His body had an aura that made one feel dizzy, the domineering aura of a king. Red hair, Shanks. We pay our respects to the Lord. Longfei laughed coldly and said, "He wants to compete with me in numbers. Kill him." "Yes, sir." His red hair moved, and he brandished the long saber in his hand. Wung. The domineering aura lingered around him, and a crack appeared in the sky. Before that elder could react, his head fell to the ground, and his body was decapitated. Similarly, there was no time for him to react. It was too fast. More than others? Let's see who has the most manpower then. Longfei howled out as he said in a heavy tone, "Huang Long." Boom. The yellow-robed old man landed. "We pay our respects to the Lord." "Kill. Miss Mo, show them what a big show it is." "Understood, Master." "Aha, aha." A devilish smile appeared on his face as a large wave of fire bullets exploded outwards. "Prince Widow, believe me, all of you, come out." Within a large wave of games, call card were activated. These people were all permanent and would not disappear because of time issues. Although they were permanent, their appearance time was only 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, it would take a day to cool down. The people from the Heavenly Court and the 2 major training bases in Hell were all crazily summoned by Longfei. Some in the game, some in anime, some in movies. However, they all had one thing in common: arrogant and domineering. At the same time, the system beep's voice resounded in Longfei's mind. His experience points continued to superimpose on top of each other. The Holy Source S continued to stack. The striking energy value flew up. More than others. I'll let you know what it means to have more people. Longfei let out a loud roar, and the idea began to move. Scatter seeds which become solidars. 100,000 magic weapon. Fall for me. 100,000 Holy Source disappeared, and magic weapon appeared from the ground. Sky-piercing sect leader greets the Emperor. Damn, even the sect leader has come out. Longfei excitedly laughed coldly. I've never seen anyone who wants to compete with me. Come on, who has more people now? Kill them all. Leave no one alive. Chapter 1442, War Family's Powerhouse. Chapter 1442, War Family's Powerhouse Heaven Base, Hell Base, and Scatter Seeds, which become Solidars technique. The entire Beast City was Longfei's people. More people, this kind of people from the Hell Gate, is really not enough. Simply put, this was a massacre. The Hell Gate army retreated frantically as Longfei closed in step by step. He would never let a single person get away after seeing the Beast City in such a state. In addition, the killing intent in Longfei's eyes surged. It was extremely strong and did not weaken just because he killed a few Hellgate elders. Instead, it became even stronger. The boss has changed. Yeah, it changed. It has become more powerful. So handsome. If I were a woman, I would fall in love with him. In just half a month, boss is really too strong. Ha ha ha. The boss is indeed the boss here. To be able to pull such a tyrannical and domineering character, the boss must be extremely handsome. 8 King Kong became excited one by one. Long Fei becoming strong was also an inspiration to them, as their cultivation had been rising rapidly as well. If they wanted to follow Long Fei, they had to become stronger. Slaughter our city? I'm going to annihilate your sect today. Long Fei roared and roared loudly. Kill. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Hellgate Elder for obtaining 27,399 experience, 2,000 holy source points, and 10 energy values points. Ding. 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 The system went berserk with notifications and beeps. It was a new year in the village, and all the firecrackers were set off at the same time. The rhythm of the firecrackers was like turning the sky upside down. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current, Chin Stage level 6. A warm feeling rose within Long Fei's body as a strong surge of energy surged in him. It has leveled up again. That's great. Kill. It crazily crushed everything in its path. The people of the heavenly court and the infernal realm were just like a bunch of bandits. That scene. It was just like a hungry tiger fighting over its food. It was abnormally vicious and gave no chance at all. The red hair rampaged around, overturning everything. Master Exion's chrysanthemum spear had pierced countless chrysanthemums. The widow's stealth and sneak attacks were simply too good to be true. The entire arena was filled with crushing blows. Hellgate had never been in such a sorry state before. Was the strongest power in Chaos Realm really like this? He was completely pressed to the ground. Who could imagine? In just half a month, Long Fei had undergone an earth-shattering change. The person he summoned, they couldn't understand it at all. What was all this? Are you even letting me live? An attack that you can't even imagine, yet it died for no reason. For example, that alchemy. Carrying a poison gas canister on his back, he was running like the wind. You wouldn't be able to catch up to him, and by the time he caught up with him, there was a huge poison pond beneath his feet, causing him to be unable to move at all. And then he just watched himself die from the poison. Miss Mo's moves came one after another. There was nowhere for her to hide. These Hellgate all fled while covering their head. Furthermore, you could not fly because there were a few lightning birds protecting you from the sky. If you were to fly in the air, it would be a lightning strike, causing your hair to burst. Suddenly, the air moved, and 2 powerful auras came crushing down. It came very quickly. When Long Fei finally reacted, his attack had already landed. Long Fei shouted in his heart, "Azura Battle Body, come out!" Boom. Buzz. An Azura divine armor appeared on his body. Rumble. As the 2 forces attacked Long Fei from both sides, although Long Fei had the protection of the Azura Battle Body, he still felt intense pain. Buzz buzz. The 2 old men stood in the air. Their clothes were embroidered with the word war. 9 secret warrior family of the 9 secret warrior family? Moreover, the 2 old men looked exactly the same. After cultivating for a few hundred years, besides having the exact same appearance, their minds were linked. The idea had become one. This was their strongest point. However, Long Fei looked at them with a strange gaze and smiled. "Little boss, so you're saying you guys even have a big boss behind you?" They were different from the Hellgate Elders. The Hellgate Elders might have said that they were bosses when they were emitting a golden light in the past, but as Long Fei became stronger, their boss aura also weakened, eventually disappearing. However, the bodies of the two old men in the sky were glowing with a golden light. Humph! A mere ant dares to overturn the heavens. One of the old men sneered disdainfully. He stared at Long Fei with contempt. He did not even put Long Fei in his eyes. Because Long Fei was not worthy. He didn't have the qualifications. The Nine Secret Warrior family was one of the most mysterious clans in the Chaos Realm. What did the Hell Gate count for? So what if it was the Bounty Gate? If they wanted to compete in Nine Secret Warrior family, yes, they didn't even have the qualifications to lift their shoes. Because they were from the Nine Secret Warrior family, they knew how strong the Battle family was. The entire Chaos Realm can belittle the existence of this world, and including the Tower question of God. Yo, is it that amazing? Long Fei smiled, stared at the two little bosses, and said, "Then let me see if you two have the ability to be awesome." Boom! He took a heavy step. Shwa! It rose up from the ground and disappeared in an instant. The heaven-decimating art in its hand activated. Boom! The flames burned. The Yang God's authentic artifact began to emit blazing power, causing Sword Chi to wreak havoc. Light speed sword. Boom! His sword was like lightning as it attacked ferociously. The two Battle Clan powerhouses were indeed extraordinary. Their bodies were constantly alternating, and at the same time, they were also constantly defending and blocking. The two of them seemed to be 4 people or 8 people. Skillful. Kid, is that all you've got? You want to snatch a woman from our young master? You think you're worthy? Young lord, 1 finger is enough to crush you to death. The two of them said disdainfully. Suddenly, Long Fei suddenly retracted his sword technique and angrily said, "You dare to make a ruckus, right? I'm not playing with you anymore." Sky-swallowing rat. Creak. The little mouse broke through space and swallowed an old man from the Zhan clan. The two of them were distracted, and at the same time, Long Fei's light speed sword suddenly changed. It became sharper and faster. Boom. Boom. It merged with the power of the Sun God authentic artifact and madly crushed it. One person could no longer resist it. From the sky, to be ruthlessly smashed down by Long Fei to the ground, with his hair scattered all over the place, he was in an incomparably sorry state. TL, you like to shout? Then continue shouting. Long Fei roared loudly. No way. If you're not shouting, then go to hell. The heaven-decimating flame burned as it slashed down. Crack! Unable to withstand the divine might of the heaven-decimating sword, his sea of consciousness was instantly blasted apart. Ding! The system beep rang. Do you want to activate the berserk energy? No. Congratulations to the player, Long Fei, for obtaining 300,000 experience points for killing battle armor, 29,000 holy source, and 10 energy values. Congratulations to player, Long Fei, for obtaining Lingxi technique. You wish to cultivate it? Congratulations to player, Long Fei, for obtaining. It was also at this time the sky-swallowing rat swallowed the other battle god powerhouse. Ding. Chapter 1443. Qianju. Chapter 1443. Qianju. Congratulations to player, Long Fei, for obtaining 300,000 experience, 29,000 holy source, and 10 energy values. After killing the twin powerhouse, the system once again sounded out a notification. Ding. Congratulations to player, Long Fei, for obtaining a special reward from the system. Special reward? What? Long Fei quietly waited. Under normal circumstances, the system's special rewards wouldn't be too bad. Ding. Congratulations to player, Long Fei, for obtaining Eternal Hunting Twin 1000 Ju Call card. Huh. What a great thing. It's the great move of Qianju. This is simply my life-saving skill. Long Fei was overjoyed. His big move would not die within the area of effect. No matter how strong the bombardment was, he would not die. That's right. I don't know if the bombardment of power from the main temple's powerhouse will be all right under the judgment of fate. Long Fei slightly said, "Let's not worry about it for now. We'll talk about it after taking it." After the 2-9 secret warrior family were killed, Long Fei dashed forward like lightning. Boom! The sword of Destroy in Long Fei's hands continued to behead and nurture it as well. The Yang God's aura in Long Fei's body continued to rise bit by bit. When paired with the light speed sword, it was like pulling a bull with lightning, going berserk all the way. The infernal army had killed every last one of them. Long Fei would not let any of them go. No one would go against experience points. What he needed was not only experience points, but striking energy value as well. My lord! My lord! Battle armor. Even Battle E was killed by Long Fei. A purple elder walked over. Zhan Hongtu suddenly stood up. His eyes darkened. He suddenly stared and shouted, "Useless thing!" With a grab of his right hand, he sucked the purple elder into his palm. Ah! With a blood-curdling screech, the purple-robed elder didn't even have the time to resist, and was directly sucked dry. Zhan Hongtu bellowed, "Whoever dares to take half a step back will be killed without mercy." Boom! His voice was like thunder, exploding in the sky. At the same time, looked at the Long Fei in the distance, and said in a heavy voice, "I don't care what kind of strange power you possess, you must die today." Long Fei grew up too fast. At this rate of growth, no one would be able to withstand it. This child must die. Buzz! In that instant, body combusted in gold light, directly releasing a surge of divine power from his body, which was also his strongest power. Either not, or he could just crush them. Boom! The illusory figure appeared in front of Long Fei in a flash, its eyes sinister. The golden light on its body surged, and it chopped down with a palm. "I'm finally out. Big boss." Long Fei's heart trembled. The golden light around Zhan Hongtu's body was especially glaring, and also he had the golden divine light that only appeared on the body of the oracle, so it was obvious that Zhan Hongtu was not simple at all. From this, it could be seen that the 9 secret warrior family was not simple. However, so what if it wasn't simple? As long as he provoked Long Fei, then he must die. Xiu Luo divine body. Open. Buzz. The power of the Azura King was suddenly activated, and the aura on Long Fei's body changed. He immediately charged forward, and with the heaven-decimating slash in his hand, a half-moon sword beam flew out. Shwa! Boom! When Long Fei tried to block it with his body, the Xiu Luo divine body slightly trembled. Zhan Hongtu squinted his eyes, looking at the half-moon sword chi that was shooting towards him. The corners of his mouth curled up. A sword chi attack like that? As soon as he finished, rumble! A powerful shadow of a beast appeared behind his back, and he punched down heavily with both of his fists. Rumble! The sword chi was instantly shattered. Buzz! Standing beside Zhan Hongtu was an incomparably large divine beast, whose body shone with a golden light. This was a divine beast that did not even belong to the Chaos realm. Zhan Hongtu sneered. "Use whatever moves you have left. Today is your last chance." Very strong. Zhan Hongtu was the strongest person Long Fei had ever met. That divine beast. Long Fei grinned. "If I like it, then it's mine." Zhang Xian exerted his strength. Buzz! His cultivation at the 6th level of the stage exploded forth, and with a change in speed, he charged straight at Zhan Hongtu. Zhan Hongtu sneered. You overestimate yourself." In that instant, the chi on Zhan Hongtu's body was intertwined with the chi of the divine beast beside him. The idea moved, and the eyes of that divine beast suddenly exploded. Rage. His body was suffused with a divine light as he punched out, shattering the void. A heavy blow came down. Zhan Hongtu laughed coldly and said, "This is the divinity's divine beast. Its strength is as high as the sky, and relying on you, brat." Long Fei raised the lotus beneath his feet, and with a flip of his right hand, he exclaimed, "Heavenly flame! Pure lotus demon fire!" The moment Xuanabai's flame touched his palm, he sent a palm strike forward to receive it. Then, the aura of the hellfire lotus on Long Fei's body was released to its strongest point and fused with the sun god's authentic artifact, Heaven Destroyer, to its highest point. The power in his body was burning. Long Fei was just like a special ability user. A ball of flames crazily ignited on his body. The sun god! Kill! The pure lotus demon fire blocked the divine beast's heavy blow. Long Fei released the power of the yang god within his body, the power of the yang god authentic artifact, at its pinnacle, and then released the power of the fire god. One sword, one explosive, golden sword, aura flickered all over Long Fei's body and shot out in all directions. It was as if the entire world was covered by his sword aura. Zhan Hongtu's face was filled with shock. "I never thought that this child would actually have such a strong sword intent, this kind of sword aura. Too powerful." However, Zhan Hongtu's murderous intent became even stronger as the golden light around his body dimmed. In an instant, boom, the divine beast that was entangled by the pure lotus demon fire suddenly inhaled, and all of the energy in its body was sucked into Zhan Hongtu's body. What kind of cultivation technique is this? In the city, Li Yuanba exclaimed. The divine beast's power was instantly absorbed, as though it was a cultivation technique that combined together. Long Fei was also shocked. The Zhan Hongtu in front of his eyes was no longer a person, but a gigantic divine beast. A punch was fired out. Space itself shattered. Space twisted. It kept hitting Long Fei. Too strong. When the divinity's divine beast appeared, Long Fei was stunned. But now this fusion skill had once again stunned Long Fei. And also, Long Fei trained in Devourer's vein. He was very clear on how strong it was to instantly absorb the divine beast's power and convert it into his own. Under such circumstances, facing an unstoppable punch, Long Fei clenched both his fists tightly, gritted his teeth, and shouted out, "Yangwu Gemini, Thousand Jew! Get out!" There was no other way. He had to withstand this punch. He had to ensure that he wouldn't die. When Qianju landed, he also felt a strong sense of danger and immediately released his ultimate move. A gigantic formation rose beneath Long Fei's feet. Long Fei said in a heavy tone, "Come then." Chapter 1444, Now it's Laozi's turn. Chapter 1444, Now it's Laozi's turn, boom. The Yang spirit breath stood within the formation as his feet heavily stabbed into the ground, roaring, "Come." Zhan Hongtu looked at the strange array and sneered, "No matter how many things you have, it's all in vain. Long Fei, go to hell." Boom. The fist shattered the void and landed on Long Fei's body. Crack. The amount of blood on top of Long Fei's head fell in an instant and stopped at 10% of the ground, no longer falling. The Yang spirit's breath was like a scythe that could strangle a death god. The power of this move. Long Fei felt an incomparable power. 9 secret warrior family. What kind of family is it? He had never experienced such power before. That kind of power. Everyone had always thought that the Hellgate was the #1 power in the Chaos realm. However, Behind him, the 9 secret warrior family was the true number 1 clan of the Chaos Realm. Mysterious power. Furthermore, no one knew where the 9 secret warrior family was, what his past was, and who the master was. Nothing. Long Fei withstood the punch. In his heart, he finally understood why Zhan Wushuang had a set of defensive main artifact on him, and why such a powerful family might actually come from the divinity, or even the Zhan clan ancestor was a giant god of the main temple. Otherwise, how could he forever be such a powerful force? He didn't die. Zhan Hongtu was slightly shocked. He was very clear how much power that punch had contained. It actually did not manage to instantly kill Long Fei. Even the powerhouse on the Heavenly Emperor ranking could not withstand this punch. Long Fei said in a deep voice, "Awesome." Again. The more excited Long Fei was, the more he liked it. His heart was in ecstasy. "I'll definitely explode you." Zhan Hongtu squinted his eyes. His killing intent was dense. "I just want to see how many fists you can withstand." Boom, boom, boom. He would not give the enemy any chance. If 1 punch doesn't kill, then 100 punches. However, Long Fei stood in the middle of the formation, without moving. The amount of blood on his head had always been stuck at 10%. And furthermore, what was even more crazy was that Long Fei was using his own body to withstand the impact of Zhan Hongtu's powerful attacks. The best way to upgrade the physical body was not through the nourishment of the holy source, nor was it through cultivation. Instead, he had to use a powerful strike to self-destruct, which would unleash the hidden potential within his body. Hellfire Lotus, Sun God authentic artifact. At this moment, Long Fei's body was frantically absorbing the spiritual energy. "Come on. Is that all you've got? Come on. Ha ha ha. Kill your father? Your father will not die. Ha ha ha." Long Fei laughed crazily, but he was still shocked in his heart. At the same time, he was constantly thinking of ways to kill Zhan Hongtu, unless he used the power of a golden cudgel. However, the golden cudgel's energy had already filled up to the 60th floor. If it was used up just like that, Long Fei was a little unwilling. He wanted to leave this power to Zhan Wushuang. Zhan Hongtu was also furious in his heart. He had never died inside the formation, that formation. Who? Zhan Hongtu was not a fool. With so many punches, even the top powerhouse of Tower Question of God would be reduced to half dead by him. Long Fei was fine. Clearly, it was a formation. And then, Zhan Hongtu's figure descended and landed within the formation. Step by step, he arrived in front of Long Fei and coldly laughed. "You don't die within the formation? Then get out of the array. I'll see whether you die or not." He spread out his voice. It quickly attacked. Long Fei grinned and said, "I'm just afraid that you won't come." After consuming a supreme spirit pellet, his health point slightly recovered. At this moment, Resurrection Ring activated, Paralyzed Ring activated, Protective Ring activated. He activated the 3 special rings. After Qianju finished his move, the array formation closed. Long Fei forced his way forward. Boom! The first slash of the heaven decimating slash. Zhan Hongtu blocked it with his right arm, and with a burst of golden light, a strong recoil force directly sent the heaven-decimating shock flying out of his hand as his left fist punched out. Long Fei punched back. Boom! His body retreated in a straight line, and the soles of his shoes grinded through. The blood in his chest was boiling as he spat out a mouthful of blood. This was only because Long Fei's body had become stronger in that instant. Otherwise, he would have been severely injured. Zhan Hongtu only took half a step back. His fist was a little numb, but to him, this was an incomparably angry, "You dog! Die!" Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he roared in rage. "Come on! If you can't kill me, I want your entire family's lives." Boom! Long Fei did not retreat, and rushed forward. His fists surged, and he overlaid his strength on his fists. Bang! Rumble! Rumble! Long Fei was sent flying. His protective ring was almost unable to take it. The holy source value dropped by more than 4 million points in a short moment. The value of the Spirit Academy was almost bottomed out. Too strong. Still not dead. Still not dead. Cluck, cluck, cluck. Zhan Hong, too, was so angry that smoke rose from his head. To not even kill Long Fei like this was an insult to him. Without waiting for Long Fei to stop, his figure flashed. Swish! He rushed forward. Long Fei smashed a part of the city wall into pieces, but he was still unable to control himself and continued to fly back. Seeing Zhan Hong getting closer and closer, his heart became sinister. I'm going all out. Without energy, it can still be filled. There is only one life left. Long Fei decided to activate the energy of the 60-layer golden cudgel, because he didn't have any other power to deal with Zhan Hong now. Even if he were to become a demon of the Devil Transformation City, he wouldn't be able to do it. Zhan Hong's body fusion power was beyond imagination. But at this moment, the sky darkened and explosions sounded continuously. In the air, 8 King Kongs stood in 8 different directions. In the middle of the Beast City, dozens of disciples of the Phoenix clan were muttering something in silence as the power of the seal surged out from the depths of the great earth. Rumble! The moment Zhan Hong entered the Beast City, Li Yuanba roared out, Vajra power, activate! The sky was raging. Clouds swirled, layer by layer. A loud explosion resounded. A divine tribulation of power came crashing down. Zhan Hong raised his eyes and laughed coldly. King Kong power? Summon heavenly tribulation? His strength was not bad, but it's too slow. Its attack range is limited. This kind of power is all right against normal powerhouse. Against me, you guys are still far from it. The power of heavenly tribulation descended. Zhan Hong instantly moved, wanting to fly out of the attacking circle. But deep in the earth, a stream of power had bound his sacred art. The seal had stopped. The huge power of seal tightly trapped him. Zhan Hong's strength unceasingly surged against the power of the seal, his expression turning ugly as he roared. The Seal Clan? The sealing of the Phoenix clan? Damn it! Long Fei's body steadied himself. He turned and rushed towards Zhan Hong and said, Now it's my turn. Chapter 1445. Explosive You. Chapter 1445. Explosive You. Now it's your father's turn. With that said, Long Fei turned and rushed forward. Zhan Hong was firmly restrained and continued to struggle. A powerful strength frantically burst out, rushing at him, and shouted, Open up some for me. You think you can kill me just like that? Humph! Zhan Hong sneered. King Kong Alliance, God's suffering force, but the power of your 8 King Kong is too weak. Even if all 8 of you fuse your special powers together and activate the divine tribulation, it will still be useless. They had used this move the last time they surrounded Beast City. At that time, a senior elder of Bounty Gate was killed, but the cultivation level of Zhan Hong in front of him was countless times higher than that of the elder. It could be killed. Li Yuanba was not confident. However, Long Fei laughed. If heavenly tribulation cannot kill you, I can. Closer and closer. Zhan Hong laughed arrogantly. You? Long Fei, it's not that I despise you, but that you are simply unable to enter my eyes. Your cultivation is trash. Your power is indeed a little strange, but you can't leave your sect no matter how strange it is. Long Fei, it's not that I don't look down on you, but rather you are simply unable to enter my eyes. Zhan Hongtu mocked. And, can your current cultivation approach me? Can you withstand the heavenly tribulation of the King Kong alliance? If Long Fei wanted to kill him, she had to enter the range of the heavenly tribulation's attacks. With Long Fei's current cultivation, he was simply unable to handle it. Aoya's eyebrows tightened. She became worried and said, Long Fei, don't go near him. Boss, don't go near him. For a moment, all the 8 King Kong's tensed up. Just as Zhan Hongtu had said, could Long Fei bear the god's suffering force? He couldn't withstand it at all. If he were to rush over like this, he would definitely die under the god's suffering force, and die under the 8 King Kong's hands. 8 King Kong killed his own boss. That's fun. Ha ha ha. Zhan Hongtu laughed and started laughing. At the same time, he was still struggling with all his might. This was an opportunity. To him, as long as the 8 King Kong was distracted, the god's suffering force would become weaker. Furthermore, he could already feel the binding power of the Phoenix clansmen weakening. After all, these 6 days and 6 nights of attacks had left them with no time to recover. Even if their wounds were healed now, their mental state and the tiredness in their sea of consciousness were things that Healing Spring could not recover from. As long as he had a little more time, he would be able to break through the seal. All the people in Beast City must die. Ha ha ha. Zhan Hongtu laughed out wildly. 8 King Kong, your power must be really great. Are you afraid? I definitely won't die. But your boss will definitely die. Ha ha ha. Come on, Li Yuanba said. Boss, you... Long Fei's speed did not decrease at all, and was even angrier than before. He shouted loudly, Yuanba, use your strongest strength to strike down. Trust me, I definitely won't die. Zhan Hongtu sneered. You won't die? Could your cultivation withstand the god's suffering force? I'm afraid you don't even have the face to die. Ha ha. Long Fei laughed. Later, we will know who is the one who is killed to the point where there aren't even dregs left. Long Fei roared out and said, Blast it for me. Li Yuanba's mind tightened. He gritted his teeth and shouted, Listen to boss, the strongest power, boom. The remaining 7 King Kongs looked at Li Yuanba. Li Yuanba roared out and said, Believe in boss. Then, the 8 of them moved. Li Yuanba roared. The power of the 8 King Kong quickly fused with each other as 8 different elements rushed into the sky and poured into the 9 heavens. Rumble! Rumble! The sky raged. Thunder rumbled. An incomparably thick bolt of lightning came crashing down, striking vertically. It directly exploded above Zhan Hongtu's head, wanting to compare to the previous time where the 8 Dragons Alliance was formed. The power this time was much more ferocious. Zhan Hongtu raised his eyes slightly. He was secretly shocked in his heart. This 8 King Kong is truly incredible. In just half a month, his cultivation had actually increased by so much, his god's suffering force has become twice as strong. These 8 people are too dangerous. The Jedi cannot be left alive. He could feel the danger of the 8 King Kong growing up. Once these 8 people became strong, it would be equal to having a moving heavenly tribulation. They were too strong. They simply weren't able to resist them. Killing intent rose in his heart. The power on Zhan Hongtu's body exploded outwards as a thick layer of defensive power burst forth. Looking back at Long Fei, who was rapidly approaching, he laughed coldly and said, Brat, you're simply looking to die. He never thought that Long Fei would actually rush over. It was simply suicide. A normal person would not be able to withstand such a powerful strike from the heavenly tribulation, even if Long Fei possessed a lot of special powers. Because of the basics, just as Zhan Hongtu had said, it would never leave his side. A weak cultivation was a weak one. Nothing could change it. Everyone looked at Long Fei. Aoya's heart hung at her throat. She didn't know why Long Fei would choose to do this, but she believed in Long Fei. There must be such a reason. Yang Yu clasped his hands together and said, "Heavens bless Long Fei. I am willing to use 10 years of my own life, which is 100 years, in exchange." Gui Ro also started to pray. The Beastmen, Warrior S, and disciples of the Kunlun sect S all looked at Long Fei and broke out in a cold sweat for him. Under the heavenly tribulation, what could Long Fei do? Aside from being attacked, what else could he do? Shan Hongtu laughed coldly. What a brainless person! After rushing into the attack range of the heavenly tribulation, I have never seen anyone who likes to throw their lives away. Ha ha ha! Shan Hongtu disdainfully said. Brat, are you committing suicide? Thick bolts of lightning were about to strike. Long Fei stopped in front of Zhan Hongtu. The two of them were less than 3 meters apart. Long Fei looked at Zhan Hongtu without moving. Zhan Hongtu also looked at him without moving. Their 4 eyes met, and the fiery light exploded. It was as if they were fighting against gods, and it was extremely fierce. Suicide? You're sending yourself to your death. Ha ha! The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up, revealing a cold smile, and said, "You'll know soon enough." He raised his eyes slightly. When the thick and heavy heavenly tribulation descended, at this very moment, Long Fei roared in his heart, as he roared out loudly, "Bedevilment! Rumble!" His body changed, and he immediately became a magic body. The 9 tribulations sword in his hand moved and pierced straight into the god's suffering force. Zhan Hongtu's pupils shrank as he stared at Long Fei and yelled, "What are you trying to do?" Long Fei laughed coldly, spat out 2 words, and said, "Kill you." The 9 tribulations sword pierced through the heavenly tribulation and completely absorbed the god's suffering force in that instant. Chapter 1446. An aircraft carrier dropped. Chapter 1446. An aircraft carrier dropped. It was incomparably terrifying. As the heavenly tribulation tilted, all of its power flowed into the 9 tribulations' sword. This scene, it was simply unimaginable and stupefying, and it was simply unimaginable. Ha 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 ha. How could this be? Boss, what do you want to do? What's that body? How did it become another body? None of them understood. The 9 tribulations sword frantically absorbed the god's suffering force. Furthermore, Long Fei wasn't unaccustomed to the pressure of the heavenly tribulation at all. On the contrary, he felt extremely contented with it, as he was extremely familiar with the power of the heavenly tribulation. One had to know. The magic body was refined from the god's suffering force of the great perfection. If one were to talk about the person who was least afraid of heavenly tribulation in this world, he must be Long Fei's magic body. Who could resist? Heavenly tribulation? That was the source of his power. Why would he be afraid? Zhan Hongtu's eyes went blank. His brain felt like it was short-circuited. He stared at Long Fei and said, You. He was so shocked that he was at a loss for words. He could not understand at all. What was this called? Could he even absorb the power of heavenly tribulation? Isn't this too heaven-defying? Excited? Are you nervous? The eyes of the Long Fei demon god moved slightly as he laughed coldly. The power of the 9 tribulations sword in his hand increased layer by layer as it burst forth, saying in a faint voice, "Now, who's courting death? Who would commit suicide?" Buzz. The god's suffering force was completely absorbed. Even the surrounding aura of heavenly tribulation was absorbed. Between the heavens and the earth, The only one left in Long Fei's world was his target, Zhan Hongtu. Zhan Hongtu felt that the aura on Long Fei's body was extremely different, and his mind trembled slightly, asking, "What are you trying to do? Long Fei, what exactly do you want to do?" "I am an elder of the 9 secret warrior family. I am Zhan Wushuang's uncle. Our 9 secret warrior family is a god race. What do you want to do?" He was afraid. Facing the 8 King Kong's god's suffering force, he was not afraid, but he was now afraid, because Long Fei's body contained a strength that he could not resist. This power, extremely terrifying. Long Fei grinned. "I just said it. It's very simple. I just want to kill you. Who cares who you are? Who cares what background your family has? Even if you are the god of heaven, I will still kill you. Do you know why? Because I am very unhappy." As soon as he finished, the aura on Long Fei's body burst forth, and with a sudden movement of the 9 tribulations sword, the god's suffering force became exceptionally fierce under the brewing of the 9 tribulations sword. The 9 tribulations sword continuously activated the god's suffering force in the devil god's body. The 2 types of power merged together. Rumble stared at Zhan Hongtu and said solemnly, 9 calamity transformation, heaven calamity slash. The great perfection of the god's suffering force erupted from within the 9 tribulations sword. A sword slashed down. Zhan Hongtu's pupils dilated as he roared loudly, "Long Fei, you dare to kill me? You definitely won't have a good ending. 9 secret warrior family will make all of your life disappear into ashes. You can't afford to offend 9 secret warrior family." They continuously clamored. At the same time, he was also constantly afraid. Seeing the 9 tribulations sword falling, the divine beast energy absorbed into his body struggled crazily. The shadow on his body tried to break free from his restraints. It was as if his primordial spirit was about to charge out of his body. However, it was too late now. A sword fell. The god's suffering force looked like it was cut by the heavens. Rumble! 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 His body was split into 2, and in that instant, his body was crushed into smithereens by the powerful god's suffering force, with not even ashes remaining. Zhan Hongtu's miserable screams sounded out in the air. "Long Fei, you will pay the price." The corner of Long Fei's mouth twitched, and he said, "Price your sister, go and explode." 1 sword kill. The system beep immediately rang. Long Fei and the idea instantly caught up and said, "To trigger a level 4 berserk. In the heavenly court and the infernal realm, people were killing crazily here. Their striking energy value had also reached the 4th level, so Long Fei didn't even think about using them right away." Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Zhan Hongtu for obtaining 100 million experience, 100 million holy source points, and 10 energy values points. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining ancient energy blood vein. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the purple gold armor. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the purple gold sword. The system was still ringing. Long Fei listened attentively and was extremely anxious in his heart. "I don't want this. I want that sacred art." To be able to instantly absorb the power of a divine beast and merge it into his body, this sacred art was just too amazing. If not for this ability, Zhan Hongtu would not be so strong. Explode! Burst it out! Demasha! Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining body fusion to release and cultivate. Ha ha ha! It's finally going to explode. Long Fei's eyes lit up and he started laughing. With this technique, even a level 4 berserk could do it. F***CK. This power was simply too strong. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering Level 4 Berserk. Please choose the Domain Treasure Series, Water God Treasure Series, Heaven's Court Series, Animation Series, Mecha Series, Wyman Series, Universe Unknown Series. Choose what? I don't think he's chosen the Mecha Series yet. Then let's start with the Mecha Series. Long Fei also needed a transport fighter jet, which was why he was flying at such a slow speed. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for choosing Mecha Series and obtaining Carrier. What? Long Fei was a little confused. I couldn't hear clearly for a moment, so I opened the system to take a look, then my eyes went wide. Damn, an aircraft carrier. The heck? Do you want to go to heaven or something? It really was an aircraft carrier. It was a death sentence. Long Fei didn't even dare to imagine it. Isn't this a little too fierce? However, an aircraft carrier should only be able to sail in the sea, right? Long Fei muttered, but he did not really understand. Since they were called aircraft carriers, they should be flying in the air. A literal explanation was wrong. Long Fei looked at the properties of the aircraft carrier and was shocked once again. My darling, it can fly. Moreover, it's marked with an aircraft carrier. 18 fighter jets, missiles. There are all kinds of cannon weapons. This was secondary. The key was that it could fly. It could fly. Wait. Long Fei was startled. He stared at the last description of the aircraft carrier, and his eyes trembled. Damn, you need to use up my holy source to fly? 1 second. How much? 10,000 points of holy source. This is burning money. This is too darned. Even though it was a bit of a scam. However, to be able to blow up an aircraft carrier, that was too good. Chapter 1447, Vajra Path. Chapter 1447. Vajra Path, the biggest advantage of an aircraft carrier is that it is a moving island. If it were to fight on the sea, it would have a huge advantage. It could be used as a small base, able to both supply and attack. The power of the blow was a complete mess. If he could fly in the air, naturally, it was the same. It was just that his consumption was a little too high, 10,000 holy source s per second. Long Fei's entire holy source could only allow him to fly for 500 seconds. What could he do with that amount of time? There was nothing to be done. Of course, Long Fei didn't know the speed of the aircraft carrier yet. Put it away first. It will definitely be of great use in the future. Wait until I know about the Hellgate, the 9 secret warrior family, and their coordinates. Let's blast him around first. Long Fei muttered in his heart. Missile bombardment requires coordinates to strike accurately. Nothing is of any use without the coordinates. Huff. Long Fei took a deep breath, then turned and focused all his attention on the fitted soul. The idea moved and said, "Cultivate." Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for cultivating the sacred art Body Fusion, for obtaining 100 experience points, 100 points, and 100 points for the Holy Source. Martial skills, Body Fusion grade, Abhijna consumption, 1 million Holy Source description. Cultivating this art allows one to instantly fuse the War Pet's power into the body. The stronger the War Pet's power, the stronger the power. Description 2. Absorption of the War Pet's power can also be separated. Description 3. If an absolute crushing force is formed, it can also absorb the opponent's strength and fuse it into one's own. Description 4. The life force absorbed can be sacrificed selectively. As expected, absorb the energy of your divine beast in an instant and then transform it into your own energy, forming a fusion of your own powers. Long Fei muttered. However, what does description 4 mean? Selective death, sacrifice? Could it be that the power I absorbed is a living being and I can choose to let him die. I can survive. Long Fei was secretly shocked in his heart. So, under the condition that I am allowed to, I can already have 2 lives. That's not right. With sufficient conditions, I should have unlimited lifespan. Ha ha! This skill is way too overpowered. Long Fei became excited. He then remembered that when Zhan Hongtu died, the divine beast image on his body was struggling continuously, wanting to break through his body. He thought for a while, could it be that Zhan Hongtu is not dead yet? Impossible. The system prompt could not be wrong. Indeed, if it wasn't for Long Fei's heaven-smiting slash, Zhan Hongtu really wouldn't have died. It was only because of that divine beast. The power of the heavenly tribulation was too sharp. He immediately attacked the original body as well. Long Fei knew the appearance of the real face. "Boss, are you all right?" Li Yuanba landed. Gue Ro immediately ran over and threw himself into Long Fei's embrace. "Husband, woo!" Yang Yu ran forward to look at Long Fei, wanting to step forward, but his body stopped. Long Fei waved at her and said, "You come too." Yang Yu walked forward and was stopped by Long Fei in an instant. She said gently, "Sorry for making you all worry." The 2 of them shook their heads as they sobbed. The scene just now was too dangerous. Everyone was worried for Long Fei. Aoya sniffed with her nose. She wanted to cry too, but she resisted the urge in the end because she, Sword Force King Kong, had to shoulder the responsibility that Kong Kim had to bear. Long Fei looked at her, and his heart also ached. "I'm fine. I've made you all worry. From now on, I will absolutely not put you in danger." Long Fei said heavily. There were still many strong powers in the Chaos Realm. Tower Question of God was only one of the forces of Powerhouse that was revealed. How many families like the 9 secret warrior family had not been exposed? He didn't know at all. What kind of opponent would appear in the future? Long Fei did not know either. In short, they could not afford to risk their lives like this. Their cultivations were still too weak for godlike families. Long Fei came back this time to take them all into the heavenly court, to become one of the 2 bases of hell, to let them cultivate inside it, and to make him into a carrier on a vast ocean. Moving island. Let them out when the time comes. Long Fei said slightly, "I have opened up 2 secret worlds. Whether it's light or dark, I can go in, and my cultivation speed will increase by several-fold. The reason I came back this time was to have you all go in and train. 9 secret warrior family, Hell Gate, Bounty Gate, Thousand Alliance sect, and many other unknown forces of Powerhouse are too dangerous for us. I need you to become stronger. I really need it." Long Fei had always wanted to build up his own strength, but it's never built up, being bullied by Hell Gate, and the rest was too severe. Sect leader, with your current cultivation, you can open up a secret world. Hualin was shocked. Kunlun Zi was also extremely shocked. Long Fei said, "During this period of time, I had some fortuitous encounters, and you can all go in. That way, you can cultivate in peace." The casualties this time were too great. Only a dozen disciples of the Kunlun sect remained. Beast Race Warrior were about the same. Long Fei's gods, Martial Sect Guild, instantly dropped down to level 5, and consecutively dropped quite a few levels. The rank of the guild was not the same as Long Fei's own. Once the guild's power decreased, its rank would also decrease. Although Long Fei felt heartache, there was nothing he could do about this matter, as it was something urgent for him. While they were talking, Long Fei opened the 2 secret worlds. One side of hell. In one side of the heavenly court, Long Fei reminded them, "All of you need to be clear about the direction of your own cultivation, so that you can choose a good secret world to cultivate in. I should be of the light attribute. Hualin was the first to walk out and walk towards the heaven fairyland, but was pushed out and said, "You are of the darkness attribute." Hualin scratched his head. Everyone laughed out loud. Then, one by one, they entered the secret world. Aside from the ordinary citizens, almost everyone in Beast City had entered the secret world. In the end, only the 8 King Kong remained. Li Yuanba was definitely of the darkness attribute. He had also been bewitched before. Sky Spirit, Arhut, these were all darkness attribute. However, Li Yuanba looked at the other 7 King Kong, took a step forward, and said, "Boss, we want to walk our own path." Long Fei was slightly taken aback. Aoya said, "Boss, the 8 of us can't simply cultivate to increase our strength. If we were to cultivate alone, we wouldn't be able to keep up with your pace." The heavenly spirit followed. "Boss, we are from 8 King Kong. We have to walk a different path from others. We want to go experience it. We will never grow up with your protection." Secret world's cultivation was indeed tempting. However, this was actually a form of protection for Long Fei. They were the 8 King Kong, Long Fei's right-hand men. They were not courtesans. They wanted more than just to cultivate and raise their cultivation. They wanted to find their own Tao, Path of Vajra. Chapter 1448. Don't give him a chance. Chapter 1448. Don't give him a chance. Everyone's way is different. The difference between Long Fei and the others was also different for the 8 King Kong. Long Fei ignored this point. It was also because the Hell Gate S were too powerful and wanted to protect them. It was Long Fei who had gotten anxious. He had forgotten something very important. 8 King Kong was not suitable for greenhouses. They just wanted to be tempered like a bloody rain and the smell of death. They needed all sorts of tests of life and death in order to truly activate the power that belonged to them. This was the power. If he didn't temper it, how would he transform? Long Fei didn't say anything more, and the path the 8 King Kong had chosen made him secretly rejoice. When you grow up, you need to train yourself. I believe in you. Li Yuanba hoisted the giant spirit axe onto his shoulder and said with a slight smile, "Boss, wait for my return." Finished. He strode out alone. Next, with a chuckle, the heaven spirit said, "Boss, wait for me to come back. I'll accompany you in your slaughter." Arhut, descending dragon, Fat Menchun, Black Knife, Lin Yushin left one by one. They weren't together because their paths were different as well. Although both of them were King Kong, their paths were different as well. They were all searching for their own paths, looking for the thing that could stimulate the power within their bodies. So we went our separate ways. In the end, only Oya remained. Long Fei gently caressed Aoya's cheek with one hand. Aoya happily placed her hand on Long Fei's palm. Finally, Aoya took a light step back and said, "Long Fei, wait for my return." Long Fei looked at her and secretly clenched his fists. Aoya took a few steps forward, turned around, and smiled. That smile was extremely moving as she said, "Wait for me to come back. I want to give birth to your child." Finished. Her face reddened slightly before she wielded her sword and disappeared into the horizon. The 8 King Kong left. Everything in the Beast City returned to calmness. Suddenly, Long Fei seemed to have thought of something and said, "I forgot to tell them where to reunite." "Forget it. They are my 8 King Kong. They will definitely be able to find me, or I will definitely be able to find them." Long Fei's heart sank a little. 8 King Kong's departure caused Long Fei's heart to become even stronger. Why did he leave? This was because he still did not possess enough strength to make the people of the world fear him and cause them to not dare to touch any of his people. Moreover, the departure of the 8 King Kong was a path of transformation. If they were to return, they would definitely be so strong that they would explode. The Yen Huang ancestor was preparing it for him. The boundless sect that he had established was rapidly expanding and rising in power. Now, Long Fei only had one thing to do, to become stronger. Huff! Long Fei took a deep breath and said, "Return to the tower question of God." Long Fei left for a long time. However, there were only two people left at the scene waiting for him. Yi Jingyun, Nangong Yen. The assessment department, the martial arts practice field. Yi Sung did not appear, and the one who replaced him was another examination elder, Zhao Kong. Zhao Kong frowned. The ice and snow plains exit was obviously destroyed. Why are they still able to return? What happened? Zhao Kong asked a few questions, but he didn't manage to get anything out of them. However, the most important thing was that Long Fei was still alive. This was very important. Zhao Kong did not stay any longer and directly reported back to the tower question of God. What? They came out. Impossible. There is only one secret world's exit. If it is destroyed, there is no way it can come out. An elder was shocked. He had personally destroyed the secret world's exit, so it was impossible for him to come out. Zhao Kong said, "It is absolutely true. There are already more than 80 disciples that have come out, and many of the other disciples are frozen to death inside." The elder asked, "Where is that disciple?" He was referring to Long Fei. Zhao Kong replied, reporting to elder, "I understand that Long Fei is still alive, but I don't know why he hasn't returned yet. Other than him, Nangong Yen and Yi Jingyun have not returned either." Elder narrowed his eyes as he thought for a moment. "It's good that they haven't come back. We can use the reason that they haven't come back in time to expel them from the assessment department. As long as he's not a disciple, everything will be fine." After all, he was an examination disciple. He had to explain to everyone what had happened. After all, this was the tower question of God's assessment department. Zhao Kong immediately nodded his head and said, "Disciple will do as you say." And then Zhao Kong quickly returned to the assessment department. Not long later, Zhao Kong's voice shook, and she shouted slightly, "All of you have passed the 4th round of examination. As for those who have yet to return, these people cannot even complete the most basic of the tests, so they do not have the qualifications to continue. All of you will be disqualified from the rest of the exams." At this time, one of the disciples said, "Elder, they are in the mountain range, and will be back very soon. Should I go call them?" Zhao Kong glared and said, "Do you want to lose your qualifications to take the examination as well?" That disciple was immediately stunned and did not dare to say another word. Zhao Kong said heavily, "They obviously aren't coming back, even though they're in the mountain range. What does that mean?" This means that they do not put the tower question of God in their eyes. We, the tower question of God, do not need this kind of disciple. Someone, come, count the names of these people, and the rest will be expelled from the assessment department. Even if they come back, they won't have the right to continue. The instructions were very simple, was precisely to expel Long Fei from the tower question of God's assessment clan, so as to not give him any chance. As long as Long Fei wasn't an assessment disciple, they had ways to deal with him. For Zhan Wushuang, in order for him to break through the 100 layers of tower question of God, as soon as possible, the elders within the tower question of God, as well as the saint, had all helped him. No one could stop Zhan Wushuang. He would bring unparalleled honor to the tower question of God in the chaos realm. It could be said, Zhan Wushuang was a peerless treasure of the tower question of God. They absolutely could not be obstructed. Anyone or anything, they must give way in front of him. In these 3 days, Zhan Wushuang even more so exploded with astonishing potential, directly rushing to the 70th level, a heaven-defying talent, incomparable power. This caused even more elders to stand by his side, protecting and escorting him. Wait! Just as Zhao Kong was about to call people to count the names on the list, a figure appeared. Zhao Kong's face changed, and immediately called out respectfully with his entire body, "Third Elder!" The third elder's forehead was beaded with sweat. It was clear that he had traveled a long distance to reach this place, and he had even overused his holy source. He was already a super powerhouse. To be able to do this, he must have rushed back from somewhere very far away. The third elder said with a faint smile, "Wait a little longer." Zhao Kong said, "Third elder, this is probably not good. We have waited for a long time, and disciples that have not returned yet do not even put tower question of God in their eyes. This kind of person is not fit to enter the tower question of God." I said, "Wait a little longer." The third elder let out a loud shout. Pressure erupted forth. Zhao Kong was crushed to the point of him kneeling on the ground. Chapter 1449. I'm back. Chapter 1449. I'm back at this moment. The sky darkened, and an even more intense pressure came crushing down. His voice shook. "Tuoba Yuan, do you think you are still the third elder? You are only a low-level elder. Right now, what qualifications do you have to order this place to?" Boom! A voice sounded. Third elder Tuoba Yuan's mind trembled. He raised his eyes slightly and said, "Second elder." "Humph!" The middle-aged man snorted and said coldly, coming back from billions of kilometers away, "Tuoba Yuan, you sure are capable of doing this? Is it worth it just for a disciple? You still have a chance to choose. Don't be so stubborn. Zhan Wushuang is the right path. That Long Fei, there is no talent, no potential, and no potential. Besides a murderous heart, there is nothing good about him." Kai Tianen said in disdain, "Obviously, Tuoba Yuan did not manage to stand in a good queue. He chose Long Fei, not Zhan Wushuang. It was also because of this that he was suppressed and exiled." Tuoba Yuan smiled slightly. "I do not know if Zhan Wushuang is on the right path or not, but I do know that his mental skills are incorrect. As for Long Fei, his potential and talent is far stronger than Zhan Wushuang's." He had investigated Long Fei before. In just a few short years, he had grown to such a terrifying level. You dare to say that such a person is talented and has poor potential? Kai Tianen laughed. "Is your talent stronger than Zhan Wushuang's? A trash with a broken pubes is just someone you would want. What qualifications does such a person have to enter the tower question of God? Tuoba Yuan, I suggest that you understand the situation and not even know how you died." His voice turned cold. Killing intent exploded out. Tuoba Yuan asked coldly, "What, do you still want to kill me?" Kai Tianen smiled slightly. "So what if I killed you? Anyone who could become Zhan Wushuang's obstacle could be killed." This was the Tower Lord's exact words. "Kill you? Humph! Do you think I don't dare?" The expression in Tuoba Yuan's eyes changed. If the tower question of God's Tower Master said this, then the number of floors Zhan Wushuang had broken through probably Tuoba Yuan said slightly, "Which floor has Zhan Wushuang passed now?" Kai Tianen laughed complacently. "You have already broken through the 70th floor this morning, so you will be eligible to enter the ancient holy battlefield in 30 more floors." Tuoba Yuan, do you know now that you've chosen the wrong thing? 70 levels. Tuoba Yuan's eyes tightened as he muttered to himself. To have achieved such an accomplishment in just a short year's time, in the past 10,000 years, he was the first to do so. This is too terrifying. He couldn't help but be shocked. Zhan Wushuang's explosive strength was astonishing. Looking at Tuoba Yuan's shocked expression, Kai Tianen laughed complacently. Now, you know how terrifying it is. Zhan Wushuang entering the ancient holy battlefield was already a foregone conclusion. Moreover, the Tower Lord had predicted that he would bring unparalleled honor and glory to the Chaos Realm. Are you going to stop me now? Tuoba laughed. Ha ha ha. His talent is indeed terrifying. But 9 secret warrior family. Do you think that it's an ordinary family? You do not understand this family, nor do you understand Zhan Wushuang. No matter what level he broke through to now, I will persevere in my choice. Zhao Kong, wait for them. Tuoba heart tightened. He was gambling. He was betting everything on Long Fei. Tuoba secretly thought in his heart, Long Fei, do not disappoint me. I will bet everything on you. Kai Tiannan's eyes were filled with anger as he said solemnly, Tuoba, don't refuse a toast and don't eat a forfeit. Tuoba said, Second Elder, you should know what you have done yourself. If I were to tell you what you have done, he. Kai Tianen frowned and shouted, How long are you going to wait? Zhao Kong also asked, Second Elder, you need to have a time limit for us too. We can't just keep waiting, right? There are still other disciples taking the examination here. Kai Tianen replied, Half an hour. Tuoba replied, 2 hours. 1 hour. Kai Tianen shouted, If Long Fei and the others still do not appear after an hour, then they do not have the qualifications to continue with the assessment, and you are never allowed to enter the Tower Question of God. Humph. Tuoba, I will report what happened today to the Tower Master. Just you wait. Kai Tianen slightly shouted. Tuoba did not speak further. He could only buy Long Fei an hour. This was his limit. Moreover, as long as Long Fei did not appear, then he would have lost his last hope. If he wanted to turn the tables, he had to rely on Long Fei. As long as Long Fei enters the Tower Question of God and breaks through the 100th floor, he will be able to crush everything. He was very clear in his heart that Zhan Wushuang's mental skills were not right. His heart was filled with evil. It was definitely not a good thing for such a person to enter the ancient holy battlefield. If he wanted to compete with Long Fei, although Long Fei had a murderous heart, he at least had a clear conscience and could do it with fairness. Time passed by second. Half an hour passed. Long Fei did not appear. Kai Tiannan's face revealed a cold smile. Tuoba, you're going to lose soon, and you want to borrow that brat's power? You made the wrong choice. Ha ha ha. Tuoba slightly closed his eyes and did not speak. His palms were drenched in cold sweat. Another 10 minutes passed. Long Fei still had not appeared. The pleased smile on Kai Tiannan's face became wider, and he started to hum a little tune. Time is almost up, Tuoba thought in his heart. Could it be? Am I going to lose? If Long Fei did not appear, he would have lost, because someone who was unable to enter the Tower Question of God was unable to turn him around, which could also mean that he had chosen the wrong thing. Another 10 minutes passed. Kai Tianen laughed. Tuoba, there's only 10 minutes left. If you don't appear now, you know what the consequences will be. This time it wasn't just exile. It might even take his life. Tuoba looked up into the sky and muttered, maybe it's my Tuoba life. One choice was wrong, and that was to die for all eternity. But Zhan Wushuang will never bring any glory to the Tower Question of God. What a pity. No one would listen to him. There's only 1 minute left. Kai Tianen laughed proudly. Tuoba, admit defeat. Ha ha. Tuoba let out a light breath, looked at Kai Tianen, and said, Help me tell the Tower Master. Thank him for raising me for all these years. From today onwards, Tuoba, he no longer had the qualifications to stay in the Tower Question of Goddess. He did not regret choosing Long Fei. Now he had no choice. Kai Tian laughed complacently. He became incomparably excited when he saw the depressed look on Tuoba Yuan's face. However, just as Tuoba Yuan was about to say that he had left the tower question of God, a voice came from afar. "I'm back. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.